Chapter 24. Sect leader Zhao saw Elder Yu's pale face and said, "Junior Yu, you've used up a lot of energy today. You should leave tomorrow. Rest well tonight. Compared to the rise and fall of the sect, my energy consumption is nothing. Fortunately, Lu Kuan's talent in the Vajra arts is excellent. It's too early to make a conclusion. Just by looking at Junior Yu, I can tell that the second layer is extremely difficult to break through. Sigh, I'm a dual cultivator. The second layer consumes too much energy. Lu Kuan is different. He specializes in this art and is born with great strength. He can bring out the true power of the Origin Explosive Fist. His battle strength is much higher than Senior Zhang's at the same level." Elder Yu shook his head. "No matter what, we need time. After Junior Yu goes to North Moontown, you must be careful. If you really can't do it, retreat to Huayuan City. It's okay to lose a few towns there. It'll take at least 1 or 2 years for the Five Venoms sect to completely control the industries there." "Understood, sect leader. I'll leave tomorrow." After saying that, Elder Yu went back to prepare. "Wait. Remember to let the people with the highest progress in the Vajra arts come back first and ask Lu Kuan for guidance. Maybe there will be people who will continue to break through." "Yes, sect leader." Lu Kuan went back to his residence and fell asleep. In order to break through, he had spent almost half a day controlling his muscles. He had almost exhausted his energy. He slept until noon of the next day. After waking up, Lu Kuan sat in his stone house and began to feel the difference in his body. He followed the Origin Explosive Fist's method of exerting force and mobilized all his muscles. He found that he could actually use the Origin Explosive Fist's force while sitting cross-legged. Wherever his mind was, the force would be there. Right now, as long as he wanted to exert force, his hands, feet, shoulders, knees, and elbows could all explode with the power of the Origin Explosive Fist. This greatly increased his battle strength. He could almost be counted as one of the best among the second-rate expert. If he fought with Wang Erda now, Lu Kuan was confident that he could subdue him in 3 moves. Thinking of Wang Erda, Lu Kuan took out the sheepskin. He came back with Guobuetao 2 days ago, so he couldn't check it on the way. Written on the sheepskin was a palm technique called splitting the heavens palm, as well as its corresponding internal strength. Presumably, Wang Erda was using this martial art. Lu Kuan was a pure cultivator, so this cultivation technique was useless to him. What he cared about was the parchment itself. It was of the same color and thickness as the parchment of the Essence Exploding Fist. This parchment was just slightly bigger. It was very likely that there was a cultivation technique related to the Vajra mantra hidden inside. He would try it out at night when the red mark flared up. Lu Kuan then began to cultivate the second stage of the Vajra esoteric art. The second stage was the true beginning of the Vajra esoteric art. The second level required one's muscles to adjust their frequency according to the chants in the cultivation technique. After practicing for a period of time, the aura of life would appear in one's muscles. This aura of life would then circulate throughout the body until it disappeared. This was the process of the aura of life strengthening one's muscles and improving one's physique. Lu Kuan followed the incantation for the second level. He calmed himself down and began to move his muscles. However, he did not feel any signs of life even until night fell. "It's so difficult to cultivate. I actually didn't feel anything after cultivating for a day. Let's check the sheepskin first." Now, every night, regardless of whether he slept or not, the red mark and purple light would flicker for 6 hours. When it began to flicker, Lu Kuan brought the sheepskin to his chest. After a while, it indeed changed, and words appeared on the back. Vajra esoteric art. Looking at the words that appeared on it, Lu Kuan was shocked. He then looked at it with rapt attention. There were thousands of words on it. It was the Vajra esoteric art, and it was from the 1st to the 7th level. The Iron Fist School gave them the first 3 levels of the cultivation technique, which were exactly the same as the first 3 levels on the sheepskin. He had to reach the 3rd level before he could continue to cultivate the next few levels with the Supreme Elder. He didn't expect to obtain the 7th level of the cultivation technique now. He was destined to cultivate the primordial fire waterfall fist that he had obtained before. The 7th level is still quite far from me. I'll memorize all 7 levels first and cultivate to the 3rd level first. Lu Kuan memorized the complete version of the Vajra esoteric art. The 2nd level to the 7th level was constantly strengthening the body. Just in terms of strength, reaching the 3rd level would give one 1,000 gene of strength. After that, every level would increase by 500 gene. Every level would also increase one's defense, recovery ability, and so on. Compared to ordinary martial arts experts, the 3rd level's strength was equivalent to a first-rate expert, while the 4th level's strength could compete with a first-rate expert. Moreover, Lu Kuan benefited from the red mark and purple light. He already had 1,000 gene of strength. If he could cultivate to the 7th level, it would definitely be far more than 3,000 gene. For the next few days, Lu Kuan cultivated the 2nd level during the day and recited the Vajra esoteric art at night. Finally, on the 3rd day, Lu Kuan felt a trace of cool aura appear in his muscles. According to the 2nd level's incantation, he began to mobilize this trace of life aura. It slowly circulated in his body, and after only 1 cycle, the life aura disappeared. According to the cultivation technique's description, the first time the life aura appeared, it would be used up very quickly. As one cultivated for a long time, the life aura would increase, and the speed at which it was generated would also increase. Lu Kuan combined his own situation and roughly understood why Elder Yu was always on the 2nd level. Elder Yu mainly cultivates his internal energy and has little time to cultivate the Vajra esoteric art. This way, there will only be a little bit of life aura every time, and the progress will definitely be slow. If I cultivate the 2nd level like this, the progress will be very slow. Is it possible to find a special method to cultivate the 1st level? Lu Kuan wasn't satisfied with his current speed and tried to find a new method. While he was thinking hard, he saw the sheepskin from the corner of his eye and his heart skipped a beat. How could I forget about the Essence Exploding Fist? The Essence Fire Waterfall Fist said that the Essence Exploding Fist is used to assist the first 2 levels. It must be useful for the 2nd level as well. When I circulate the Essence Exploding Fist, I can't produce life aura. Could it be that I have to circulate the Essence Exploding Fist's force and life aura? When he thought of this, Lu Kuan immediately sat cross-legged and circulated the Essence Exploding Fist's force. After circulating it for half a day, there were no changes. There's no reaction. The life aura is the most crucial part of the 2nd level. I'll try again when the life aura comes out. On the 6th day, when Lu Kuan cultivated the life aura, he didn't circulate the life aura. Instead, he first circulated the Essence Exploding Fist's force, allowing the Essence Exploding Fist's force to follow the path of the life aura. After 1 cycle, the life aura began to decrease. After 2 cycles, the life aura disappeared. However, Lu Kuan didn't notice any changes. He was disappointed and casually struck the force forward. Bang! A small hole appeared in the stone house's wall 5 feet in front of him. If one looked carefully, they would discover that the original stone had been smashed into powder. Chapter 25. Looks like after entering the 2nd realm, the Origin Explosion Fist that absorbed the breath of life is the true Origin Explosion Fist. From now on, I'll call it Origin Explosion Force. Lu Kuan thought about it for a moment and knew how this power came about. However, he could not use this move as a normal move. The breath of life was too little, and it was not enough for him to squander it in battle. Lu Shitty, are you tearing down the house? A voice came from the broken stone wall, and Guobuetao's normal face appeared in the hole. I was practicing my fist technique. I made a mistake, a mistake. Lu Kuan's expression was a little awkward. Looks like the sect leader was telling the truth when he said that you entered the second realm of Vajra art. This is all thanks to the sect leader and elder Yu. With the help of their ice and fire chi, I was lucky enough to break through. Guobuotao heard the commotion from afar and came over. When he was talking to Lu Kuan, he had been carefully observing the broken hole, and his face was filled with shock. Junior brother, you were able to punch a hole in such a thick stone wall and even turn the stone in the middle into powder. Your strength is far above mine. Looks like I'll have to call you Senior Brother Lu. Lu Kuan was stunned when he heard this. Senior Brother Guo, how could I dare? After all, you were the one who entered the sect first. I just entered the sect not long ago. How could I bear the title of Senior Brother? Guobuotao said very seriously, our sect determines how senior and junior brothers are addressed based on the internal sect tournament. Senior Brother Lu is now stronger than me, so I'm willing to call you that. Senior brother, you don't have to refuse. When Lu Kuan saw Guobuotao's expression, he could only agree. All right, Senior Brother Guo. No, Junior Brother Guo. By the way, have you finished interrogating that 5 Venoms disciple? Yes. Over the past few days, we've dragged out all the 5 Venoms merchants in the city and vented our anger. We also found out that the next mission they gave to Black Wind Mountain was to wantonly capture the family members of the sect members in the small town behind the sect so that we wouldn't attack them in the future. Senior brother, you destroyed all of that, or else the consequences would be unimaginable. I believe that once 5 Venoms knew about this, they would restrain themselves a little. How vicious! You want to use this move? When Lu Kuan heard this, he was shocked. 5 Venoms was indeed powerful. If they used this move, the strength of the Iron Fist School disciples would be reduced by at least half. Guobuotao was also scared. His parents were also in the town behind him. Junior Brother Guo, are you going to train in the sect next? Lu Kuan saw that Guobuotao was dressed simply and did not look like he was going out. The sect master has instructed that all the disciples who are cultivating the Vajra arts will return here and ask Senior Brother Lu for guidance on some difficult questions. They will cultivate wholeheartedly and strive to improve the Vajra arts. Lu Kuan had been in the Iron Fist School for a long time. He had discovered that Guobuotao was kind to his fellow apprentices and cruel to his enemies. He was not jealous of Guobuotao's speed of improvement and was not greedy for credit. Thus, he decided to help Guobuotao practice the Vajra mantra. Junior Brother Guo, how is your cultivation of the first layer of the Vajra scripture going? When Guobuotao heard Lu Kuan's question, he looked a little ashamed. I'm ashamed to say this. In the past year, Junior Brother has only completed most of the deep layer muscles. I'm still some distance away from mastering it. Then what areas are Junior Brother lacking? Can you tell me about them? If we talk about them, it might be very effective. After that, Guobuotao began to describe his current progress and bottlenecks to Lu Kuan, as well as the difficulties he had encountered. After listening to Guobuotao's description, Lu Kuan first shared some of his experiences with Guobuotao. Then, he taught Guobuotao all kinds of static training movements. Guobuotao practiced the cross-legged handstand, the Russian posture, the flag raising, and so on. Seeing these exquisite static movements that had been passed down for thousands of years on Earth, Guobuotao was abnormally shocked. After Guobuotao finished learning with a numb expression, Lu Kuan said, I'll have to trouble Junior Brother to teach these movements to the other disciples when they return. I've just entered the second layer, so I'll be practicing for a long time. I won't be able to stay in the training square as often as before. However, I'll come out every once in a while to guide these movements. Lu Kuan wanted to form his own power within the sect. He was also thinking about Zhang Yang's matter. From his current perspective, the only people in the sect who had the strength to harm Zhang Yang were the Grand Elder, the sect leader, and the 3 great elders. His own martial arts strength was currently slightly lacking. Currently, in the small group learning the Vajra scripture, there were 7 second-rate disciples and 10 third-rate disciples. After Lu Kuan helped them enter the second layer, their strength would still increase. This was a very large force. Many thanks, Senior Brother Lu. With these, I believe that everyone's progress in the first layer will be much faster. At this time, Guobuotao said with unusual sincerity. Junior brother, I'll find someone to repair the house first. Looking at Guobuotao's expression, Lu Kuan was a little puzzled by this junior brother Guo's respect. However, he didn't say anything and walked away. Guobuotao stared blankly at Lu Kuan's back and muttered to himself. He's willing to teach this kind of cultivation secret technique. He's definitely worthy of being called senior brother. The next day, Lu Kuan continued to cultivate. Because the breath of life had just appeared, he focused on tempering his mind. When Lu Kuan got into a good posture and began to cultivate, a large breath of life suddenly emerged from his body. It was a wave, not a trace. What's going on? How could the breath of life appear today? And it's such a large one. No matter how much of a genius I am, it's impossible for me to improve so quickly. Lu Kuan opened his eyes with a face full of shock. However, now was not the time to be puzzled. Lu Kuan seized this opportunity and quickly began to circulate the breath of life to strengthen his body. This large breath of life was completely different from the previous one. It circulated 25 times before disappearing. Lu Kuan could clearly feel his body strengthening as it circulated. By the time Lu Kuan opened his eyes, more than half a day had passed. This time, Lu Kuan's body was covered in black impurities. It was clear that the effect was very obvious. Lu Kuan first went to wash his body and eat something. He also tested the strength of the Yuan exploding fist in the square. He could clearly feel the increase in strength. Then, Lu Kuan went back to cultivate with a face full of excitement. Strangely, this time, there was not a trace of breath of life. Lu Kuan was puzzled. Later, for several days, his body returned to its original state. Every 3 days there would be a trace of breath of life. Lu Kuan's excitement gradually faded. 10 days later, on the 11th day, a large breath of life began to appear. Lu Kuan once again enjoyed the pleasure of his body being cleansed. After more than a month, Lu Kuan finally figured out a pattern. Every 10 days there would be a breath of life eruption. Normally, it would be at the same speed as before. Lu Kuan thought about it and could only attribute it to the red mark on his chest. After his body absorbed part of the red mark, it gradually improved his constitution. Chapter 26. While Lu Kuan was pondering over the 10 days transformation for more than a month, the disciples who went out on missions to cultivate the Vajra arts had all returned to the Vajra court. Therefore, when Lu Kuan arrived at the courtyard, he discovered that many people were cultivating. Most of them were practicing static strength movements. Every disciple who saw him on the way would respectfully greet him, Senior Brother Lu. At this moment, 3 people were walking over from afar. One of them was Guobuotao. Of the other 2, one was even more burly than Lu Kuan, and the other had a strangely large frame. They were Zhang Tianbiao and Ouyang Yun. Senior Brother Lu, have you finished cultivating? Senior Brother has been in seclusion for more than a month. When Guobuotao saw Lu Kuan, his face lit up and he immediately walked over to Lu Kuan. Guobuotao, why did you call Lu Kuan Senior Brother? Are you not his match? Zhang Tianbiao was stunned when he heard Guobuotao's greeting. You too, Senior Brother Lu has already reached the 2nd level of the Vajra arts. His strength is not what it used to be. I am definitely not his match. Thinking back to the day when Lu Kuan destroyed his stone house, a trace of fear appeared on Guobuotao's face. Lu Kuan, spar with me. I don't believe that someone who has only been in the sect for less than 2 years can have such strength. Zhang Tianbiao was still some distance away from the 1st level of the Vajra art. His main cultivation technique was the dragon form technique. The Vajra arts had increased his strength by a lot, causing his dragon form technique to improve very quickly. Zhang Tianbiao was very competitive. When he heard Guo Buotao call Lu Kuan senior brother, he was very dissatisfied. Therefore, he proposed a spar to Lu Kuan. Since brother Zhang is willing to teach me, then Lu will spar with you. Lu Kuan directly agreed. After a while, the two stood in the middle of the courtyard, facing each other. Lu Kuan was expressionless, while Zhang Tianbiao had a serious face. The other Vajra esoteric art disciples standing around were all extremely excited. Everyone wanted to know the power of Lu Kuan's second stage of the Vajra esoteric art. After all, Elder Yu had used his inner strength most of the time. Zhang Tianbiao's legs were slightly separated, and the muscles on his body gradually bulged. His clothes were also beginning to tear. He was already operating the dragon form art with all his strength. At this moment, each of his punches and kicks had the strength of nearly 800 jin. Senior brother Zhang, make your move. Lu Kuan's expression was indifferent. He placed his hands behind his back and consciously adjusted his muscles, ready to fight at any time. Zhang Tianbiao did not hold back and used the Herculean leg from the dragon form art. His right leg broke through the air and lashed towards Lu Kuan's left side. However, Lu Kuan didn't dodge. Instead, he used his left arm to receive the attack. His body didn't even sway. Immediately after, Lu Kuan punched out with his right fist. Zhang Tianbiao didn't believe that Lu Kuan's counterattack would be so powerful after calmly receiving his kick. Thus, he spun his body and used a roundhouse kick. Boom! Lu Kuan was still in his original position, but Zhang Tianbiao was repelled. He couldn't even stand still and fell to the ground. His face was filled with shock. At this moment, his right leg was already numb and he couldn't move it. The surrounding disciples had an expression of disbelief. With just one punch, Lu Kuan's body didn't even sway. Yet, he defeated Zhang Tianbiao, one of the top 3 inner disciples. Even Guo Buotao was very surprised. One move to subdue Zhang Tianbiao meant that the difference between their martial arts was too great. Could it be that senior brother Lu was already a first-class expert? Actually, Lu Kuan had secretly circulated the primordial exploding fists, blazing star prairie chant. His arm muscles had absorbed Zhang Tianbiao's strength and circulated it in his body. He had used the rain of fire move to release this strength, causing Zhang Tianbiao's legs to go numb and unable to continue fighting. Since senior brother Lu has defeated me, I will call you senior brother from now on. However, if I feel that my strength is enough, I will challenge senior brother again. Although Zhang Tianbiao was defeated, the battle intent in his eyes didn't decrease. If junior brother Zhang wants to challenge me, I will accompany you anytime. Lu Kuan looked at this battle maniac and was somewhat speechless. With senior brother Lu's strength, I, Yangyun, am also no match for you. From now on, I will also call you senior brother. Yangyun's temper was different from Zhang Tianbiao's. Seeing Lu Kuan's strength, he admitted that he was inferior. Lu Kuan nodded his head and then turned to the surrounding people and said, "Fellow junior brothers, today I will be instructing everyone on static strength training postures." In this month, Guo Buotao gradually taught everyone the static strength training postures taught by Lu Kuan. However, there were still many people who didn't understand the main point. Lu Kuan had come out today to give some pointers, but who knew that he would meet Zhang Tianbiao, who had just returned. When Zhang Tianbiao saw him, he wanted to spar with Lu Kuan. Lu Kuan also wanted to establish his authority. After the competition, he had seen the expressions of the people around him. Next, Lu Kuan began to make everyone do handstands, cross-legged handstands, Russian-style body straightening, flag raising, bridge style, and other postures. He also pointed out the main points of the postures one by one. He explained the use of the Vajra esoteric art, how to use the deeper muscles, how to perceive, and so on. Among them, the ones with the highest aptitude were the first 4 people. Fatty Chow was also in the crowd. After a period of missions, he had lost a lot of weight. However, he was still very fat and couldn't complete all the postures. Fellow junior brothers, these postures will allow you to have some initial perception of the deeper muscles. Next, you can go to the raging fire room and the cold ice cellar to strengthen your perception. In the long run, I believe that everyone will be able to enter the first layer of Deshang. After listening to Lu Kuan's instructions, these disciples were abnormally excited. Some even kowtowed to Lu Kuan. Thank you, Senior Brother Lu, for teaching us. We are at Senior Brother Lu's disposal. That's right. Senior Brother is willing to pass down this kind of unique skill. Your heart is abnormally broad. I have nothing to repay you with, but I am at your disposal in the future. That's right. We are at your disposal. Even Zhang Tianbiao, who had just been defeated by Lu Kuan, had a sluggish expression. He had just done the Russian-style straightening body when he felt that a part of his deeper muscles had begun to loosen. He also bowed to Lu Kuan and sincerely said, "Thank you for your pointers, Senior Brother Lu." When Lu Kuan saw Zhang Tianbiao and the other unruly people bowing to him, he understood the significance of his teachings to them. In fact, the martial artists of the Iron Fist School were not willing to pass down their secrets to others. Otherwise, the situation of the Iron Fist School's elders not accepting disciples wouldn't have happened. If they had any doubts, they could only go to the martial arts school and regularly ask the elder on duty for advice. When the elder on duty answered their questions, he would only point out some ideas and wouldn't tell others his secret. Therefore, one could imagine how shocked and grateful they were when Lu Kuan passed down this systematic training method to them. After Lu Kuan finished, he motioned for Guo Buotao, Zhang Tianbiao, Ouyang Yun, and Chao Yunqi to follow him to an open space. Lu Kuan asked Zhang Tianbiao, "Junior brother Zhang, do you know what kind of martial art I used to defeat you? Could it be?" Guo Buotao seemed to have thought of something. Lu Kuan gave an affirmative answer. "That's right, it was the Yuan Exploding Fist." Zhang Tianbiao muttered to himself, "Yuan Exploding Fist?" Yuan Exploding Fist is a move that can display the greatest power of the Vajra esoteric art. It can display the extreme power of the body. I hope you can go to the martial arts school and obtain this fist technique. I will teach you with all my strength. When you reach the second level, I believe that you will have the strength close to a first-rate expert when combined with the Yuan Exploding Fist. Lu Kuan wasn't afraid that they would discover the secret of the original version. If there were many people who wanted it, they would definitely create a copy. Ouyang Yun had obviously heard of the Yuan Exploding Fist. She muttered to herself, "So that's how it is. Only this kind of fist technique that doesn't use internal force can display the power of the body." Senior Brother not only taught us the unique technique, but also taught us the Yuan Exploding Fist. I, Zhang Tianbiao, am convinced. If Senior Brother has any errands in the future, please don't hesitate to tell us. Zhang Tianbiao was finally convinced by Lu Kuan's selflessness. Chapter 27. In the following days, Lu Kuan placed all his attention on Guo Buotao and the other 3. Other than the day he needed to go into seclusion for an entire day, the rest of his time was slightly better. Among the 4, Ouyang Yun was the most talented in Origin Explosive Fist. His bones were naturally thick, and the tendons that connected his muscles to his bones were also abnormally tough, allowing him to transmit force more freely. With just a little guidance from Lu Kuan, he could release explosive force, and Origin Explosive Fist immediately became Ouyang Yun's trump card. And the one who had the most effect in practicing static force movements was not Zhang Tianbiao, but Fatty Chow. Lu Kuan analyzed that he was the heaviest, so the pressure on his muscles was far greater than the others, causing Fatty Chow's Vajra arts to improve the most. This made Zhang Tianbiao gloomy for a long time. Under Lu Kuan's careful guidance, the four of them gradually grasped the essence of static force movements and all the moves of Origin Explosive Fist. Half a year later, with the help of Origin Explosive Fist, the four of them finally reached the first stage. During this period of time, some major events also happened in the sect. In the beginning, when the two sect elders were retreating from the northernmost town, they were ambushed by a few first-rate experts from Five Venoms sect. This caused third elder Iron Palm Mo Qing to be heavily injured, and elder Yu to be lightly injured. A few disciples also died in battle, and among them was the number one inner disciple, Rushing Thunderhand Huang Chong. If elder Yu had not arrived later, the two elders might have also lost their lives. Then, under sect leader Zhao's orders, Iron Fist School's forces in the north of Huayuan City slowly shrank. Five Venoms cooperated and did not launch a large-scale attack, slowly nibbling away at Iron Fist School's forces. However, at the border where their forces shrank, the two sects still had some small-scale battles. No first-rate experts took action, and it was basically the inner and outer disciples of the two sects who fought, so the casualties were much lower than before. Five Venoms was digesting their forces, and once they were done, it should be time for them to take action against Iron Fist School. Sect leader Zhao was waiting for his disciples to grow, and he wanted to use the opportunity to let the Grand Elder take action. Therefore, the battles at the border were tacitly agreed by both sects, and only during battles could disciples break through to first-rate realm. Even though the elders in the sect were injured and their power had shrunk, the disciples of Iron Fist School did not panic. They had all been informed that the Grand Elder was keeping watch in the sect. If Five Venoms attacked Huayuan City, the Grand Elder would immediately take action to destroy Five Venoms. Guo Buotao and the other three also went to the border of the two sects to train in order to break through to the first level. In the past half a year, aside from giving pointers to others, Lu Kuan had spent the rest of his time cultivating. As Lu Kuan's cultivation progressed to the second level, the amount of life energy he could produce with each cultivation session increased. Every 10 days, he would erupt with his life energy, which was 25 times the normal rate. His half a year was equivalent to 4 years of cultivation for others. His Vajra esoteric art had reached the large success stage from the second stage within half a year. This speed was much faster than Zhang Yang back then. Now that the second level of the Vajra esoteric art had reached large success, Lu Kuan could cultivate the breath of life every day, and the time it took to strengthen his body had also become much faster. However, at this time, Lu Kuan had begun to encounter a bottleneck. The breath of life's enhancement of his body had become very slow. Unless he spent a large amount of time, he would not be able to break through in a short period of time. Lu Kuan's strength had already reached 1500 jin, and the might of his Origin Exploding Fist was even greater. Ordinary first-rate experts were probably not his match. If he used the Origin Exploding Qi that absorbed the breath of life, even a first-rate expert would not be able to deal with a sneak attack from Lu Kuan. Lu Kuan began to maintain a small amount of breath of life in his body, in case he needed it. My current cultivation speed is not fast enough. I have to think of a way to reach the third level as soon as possible. Apart from cultivating honestly, I can only find external pressure. I can either find a first-rate expert to risk my life, or find a cultivation environment with pressure. After encountering a bottleneck, Lu Kuan had been thinking of a way to break through. On this day, he wandered aimlessly in the square, watching the disciples immerse themselves in their training. There were even disciples who put ice cubes on their bodies and did Russian-style exercises. That's right. I can find a place with great pressure. Lu Kuan had an idea. He remembered that he had discovered a waterfall in Mount Luyang not long after he had arrived in this world. When Lu Kuan went to see the sect leader, he tactfully expressed that he wanted to make a trip to Mount Luyang to seek an opportunity to break through to the third level. After hearing his words, the sect leader was pleasantly surprised. He told Lu Kuan to set off immediately. As long as he broke through to the third level, he would immediately return to the sect and go with him to see the Grand Elder. Only then did sect leader Zhao realize that Elder Yu's words were not false. A few days later, at the upper reaches of a river in Mount Luyang, a surging waterfall came crashing down with a loud roar. It was as if 10,000 horses were galloping. As it rushed down, it collided with a burly square-faced man. His bronze body was like a boulder as he bounced off the waterfall, scattering pearls and jade. A cloud of mist rose into the air. This won't do. My body is resisting external forces. I can't cultivate the breath of life calmly. The square-faced man sighed and walked out of the waterfall. This square-faced man was Lu Kuan, who had gone out to seek a breakthrough. The scene just now was him trying to generate the breath of life under the waterfall. In the end, he did not succeed. Only with the strength of Lu Kuan's body did he dare to cultivate under such a huge waterfall. I'll cultivate the breath of life first, then circulate it under the waterfall. Lu Kuan did as he thought. He sat cross-legged beside the waterfall and began to cultivate. The breath of life produced here is more than in the sect. Could it be because of this valley? Does the so-called breath of life refer to the breath of life? Lu Kuan did not cultivate for long before he felt the difference. When Lu Kuan finished cultivating, the breath of life in his body was nearly 50% more than usual. In other words, cultivating here for 2 months was equivalent to cultivating in the sect for 3 months. On the day of his 10 days eruption, he should have more. Lu Kuan was ecstatic when he discovered this. Next, Lu Kuan continued to walk under the waterfall. He planned to try to circulate the breath of life under the impact of the waterfall. It was very difficult at first. When he was distracted, he was washed out by the waterfall. Fortunately, his skin was thick and he was not injured. After several attempts, he finally managed to circulate it. However, after just 1 cycle, he could not control his muscles and walked out. The effect of this cycle was about the same as usual. After relaxing and resting for a while, he continued to walk in. Gradually, Lu Kuan adapted. After a day, he successfully used up all the breath of life. It seems that the waterfall is useless for cultivating the second level of the Vajra art. However, it can improve my mental control. Lu Kuan had to resist the waterfall while circulating the Vajra art. It was equivalent to splitting his mental strength. Lu Kuan began to formulate a plan. During the normal 10 days, he would cultivate the breath of life outside the waterfall. He would enter the waterfall to circulate and strengthen his mental control. On the 11th day, when the 10 days eruption occurred, he would cultivate with all his might outside the waterfall. Chapter 28. In a valley, the sound of birds singing filled the air, awakening many lush trees. A gentle breeze brushed past, rustling the trees, rippling the happiness and satisfaction of the forest. The air was filled with the fresh smell of the woods and weeds, intersecting with the blue sky and white clouds, forming an indescribably beautiful picture. In the middle of the valley, there was a river about 3 feet wide, rippling with blue waves. At the other end of the river, there were bursts of roaring water, faintly rising fog. At this time, there was a little monkey drinking water by the river. This monkey was more than a foot tall. Except for the tuft of golden hair on its head, its whole body was gray. Its eyes were strangely large, its face was red, and its ears were very strange. They were slightly smaller than the ears of ordinary monkeys, and there were some bulges at the top. At this time, its tail was impatiently swinging. It looked around while drinking water, and it was unusually clever. Suddenly, the little gray monkey seemed to have heard something. It stopped drinking water, rolled its big eyes, and opened its mouth, making people feel that it had a trace of a smile. The little monkey dipped its 4 limbs into the water by the river, and stepped on the cobblestones, leaving some wet footprints. Then, these footprints stretched all the way to an old tree. The little monkey found a few leaves to dry the water on its limbs. Out of nowhere, it took out a green foxtail grass. This grass was exactly the same as its tail. It carefully placed a blade of grass in the trunk of the tree, exposing the tail and hooking the other end to the back of the trunk. Looking at its masterpiece, it opened its mouth and was about to cry out. At this time, its ears twitched as if it had heard something. It closed its mouth and quickly ran to the next tree. At this time, light footsteps gradually came from the river. Under the interference of the distant sound of the waterfall, it was difficult for ordinary people to hear. A tall and sturdy figure appeared by the river. It was Lu Kuan. He carefully stared at the footprints on the ground, and found that the water was still wet. His expression revealed an excited expression. Following the footprints, he saw the old tree, and then with his sharp eyes, he found the gray tail hidden between the branches. Lu Kuan's mouth revealed a trace of a sinister smile. He carefully approached the old tree, squatted down, jumped, grabbed the gray tail, and pulled it down. Dong! It seemed that something fell. Lu Kuan looked carefully. This thing that fell turned out to be a beehive, and in his hand was a green foxtail grass. Buzz! Lu Kuan heard the sound of wings. Before he could figure out what was going on, a swarm of mountain wasps flew towards him. These mountain wasps were huge, each the size of an egg. The steel needle at the end still had a metallic luster. Although Lu Kuan's body was strong, he still felt a chill when he looked at it. He immediately ran towards the river. Creak, creak. At this moment, the little gray monkey jumped out, took the beehive, and quickly fled into the depths of the forest. Its running posture was crooked. If one looked closely, they would discover that the little monkey was grinning from ear to ear. It turned out that he was smiling too happily and had effected his escape. Lu Kuan clearly discovered this despicable monkey. He cursed a few times, but had no choice but to jump into the river to avoid these terrifying hornets. After a long time, the hornets finally dispersed. Lu Kuan climbed ashore from the river. Thinking about how he had been disturbed by this damned little monkey every day for the past few days, he felt a headache. It turned out that on the second day of Lu Kuan's arrival, this gray monkey had appeared while he was cultivating. He didn't know what breed it was, but it had great strength. It was actually able to use a pebble to smash him behind the waterfall. Lu Kuan was anxious to circulate the Vajra art and ignored it. As a result, it became even more aggressive and was very proud of itself. When Lu Kuan finished cultivating, it immediately rushed out. Who knew that the gray little monkey was very alert? It saw that the situation was not right and fled a step ahead. In the next few days, the little monkey came to cause trouble every day. In order to save time, Lu Kuan cultivated in peace. This was because it would take a day to exhaust all the breath of life under the waterfall. If he chased after it midway, it would be wasted. It was not worth it to waste cultivation time for a monkey, so Lu Kuan endured for a few days. Today happened to be the day when the breath of life erupted. He planned to cultivate well first, then pretend to be under the waterfall to seduce the monkey and take the opportunity to quickly catch it. When he discovered that a stone was thrown, he immediately rushed out. However, when he ran to the place where the stone was launched, he only saw some footprints. Lu Kuan thought that the little monkey was running. After chasing it all the way, he only obtained a graytail grass. In fact, the gray monkey had already made a series of arrangements near the waterfall. The stone was thrown by the monkey from a distance by controlling a tree branch. The footprints were also made in advance. It led Lu Kuan around the forest. In the end, Lu Kuan came to the river and looked at the wet footprint. He thought that he was about to catch up, but in the end, he helped the monkey obtain the top-grade honey it had always wanted to eat. After Lu Kuan came out of the water, he felt that he might have been tricked by the monkey. Strangely, why did the monkey know that he was going to ambush him today? Could it be that he had been discovered talking to himself last night? The next day, when Lu Kuan began cultivating, the monkey still appeared and kept throwing stones at him. Lu Kuan secretly endured and waited for the next opportunity. 10 days later, Lu Kuan finished cultivating and pretended to walk under the waterfall. Another stone flew at him. This time, Lu Kuan was very cautious. He went to the source of the stone and carefully observed it. He saw the footprints on the ground again, but he realized that there was a very light mark beside these footprints. This was because his eyesight was superior to ordinary people. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to see it. Lu Kuan revealed a smile as he tiptoed and followed the light footprints. He realized that the light footprints this time were almost in a straight line, not circling like last time. I should be able to catch the culprit today, Lu Kuan thought to himself. Following the footprints, he realized that the footprints disappeared at the entrance of a small tree hole. Lu Kuan was afraid that the cunning monkey would escape. He secretly circulated his exploding fist to absorb the life force and then circulated it to his ankle. He had tried to use the exploding fist under his feet. The instantaneous speed would be extremely fast. With his current physical strength, he could only withstand this speed once or twice in a short period of time. Lu Kuan gradually approached the tree hole. At this moment, a stone fell in front of the hole. Just as he was wondering where the stone came from, a large snake darted out of the tree hole. Glancing at the triangular head of the snake, he knew that the venom was intense. Lu Kuan immediately retreated. At the same time, he circulated a portion of his strength from his ankle to his hand. He struck out with the exploding fist while the rest of his strength was still under his feet. Bang! The snake's head exploded. Lu Kuan kicked out with his leg and quickly jumped towards the source of the stone. Squeak! Not far away, a gray figure jumped in fright. It didn't expect Lu Kuan to finish off the venomous snake so quickly. The little monkey quickly jumped up and fled into the distance. Lu Kuan snorted and the remaining exploding fist erupted from his feet. His figure appeared in front of the gray figure in a flash and grabbed with both hands. Chapter 29. When he grabbed the little monkey, Lu Kuan suddenly felt a sense of familiarity coming from his hand. He subconsciously loosened his grip. The little monkey seemed to be somewhat puzzled. It scratched its ears and cheeks before fleeing into the distance. It entered the tree hole and took out 2 snake eggs. It made a few faces at Lu Kuan before disappearing into the forest. Lu Kuan shook his head. It seemed that the little monkey had no ill intentions. It was just trying to be clever and asking for his help. He did not chase after it. He had just used the primordial explosion force to increase his instantaneous speed. This move was very effective when paired with his eyesight. He named this move Explosive Steps in his heart. Then, he walked to the side of the tree and discovered that the snake was 3 meters long. Its entire body was covered in alternating black and white patterns. It no longer had a head. In the past few days in the valley, he had not encountered any ferocious beast. In the end, he was teased by this monkey. It was either a mountain peak or a poisonous snake. At night, by the side of the valley, a gentle breeze blew. A bright moon was reflected on the surface of the river. A pile of cobblestones and tree branches formed a barbecue rack by the river. A red tongue of flame was licking a few skewers of snake meat. Beside the barbecue rack, Lu Kuan had a hesitant expression. He held a lush green gallbladder in his hand and muttered to himself. It's said that the snake's gallbladder is very nourishing and can greatly improve one's cultivation. Do you want to try it? Suddenly, a gray figure flashed and snatched Lu Kuan's hesitation. It swallowed it in one gulp. Forget it, I'll give it to you. It's so disgusting, I really can't eat it. Lu Kuan looked at the little gray monkey that appeared again. He was too lazy to fight over it and continued to roast the snake meat. The little monkey seemed to know that Lu Kuan would not catch it. It stayed to the side and watched Lu Kuan roast the meat. Lu Kuan picked it up and took a simple taste. He sighed and said, "It's a pity that there's no seasoning. The taste is a little bland." Squeak, squeak, squeak. When the little monkey heard Lu Kuan's words, it danced at the side. "Little monkey, what do you mean?" Before Lu Kuan could finish speaking, the little monkey ran away quickly. Not long after, it came back with a honeycomb. It took out the honey chamber from the middle and handed it to Lu Kuan. It was still squeaking, pointing at the snake meat and then at itself. "Are you using this honey to exchange for snake meat?" Lu Kuan somewhat understood what Little Monkey meant. Little Monkey nodded vigorously. Then, he picked up the roasted snake meat, smeared the honey on it, and said with a strange expression, "Using the honey I got for you in exchange for the snake I caught, you're really shameless." Seeing that Little Monkey was looking at him eagerly without any sense of guilt, Lu Kuan handed the snake meat over and continued to smear it on the next skewer. The fire in the valley gradually dimmed, and only the sound of a man and a monkey eating by the river could be heard. At night, Lu Kuan slept in a tree, and Little Gray Monkey naturally slept beside him. At this time, the red mark on Lu Kuan's chest began to glow. As if in a dream, Little Monkey rolled over and lay on Lu Kuan's chest. The red mark was also a little different. A few wisps of red mist floated out of the red mark and entered Little Gray Monkey's mouth. Little Monkey subconsciously pursed its lips, wiped its saliva with its hand, and went back to sleep. The next morning, Lu Kuan picked up Little Monkey, who was still sleeping, and threw it aside. He was going to cultivate the breath of life and go to the waterfall to cultivate. When he finished cultivating and opened his eyes, Little Monkey was unusually excited and dancing in front of him. "Little Monkey, I'm going to cultivate. Don't disturb me this time." But Little Monkey kept squeaking, pointed to the depths of the forest, and then pointed to Lu Kuan's muscles. "You mean there's something in the forest that helps me cultivate?" Little Monkey nodded. "Good, if that's the case, I'll follow you. Don't play with me again." Lu Kuan secretly muttered in his heart, wondering why he could understand what Little Monkey meant. Lu Kuan followed Little Monkey into the depths of the forest, but he didn't see Little Monkey's guilty expression. One man and one monkey slowly walked into the depths of the forest. When Lu Kuan first came here, he was busy running for his life. He didn't expect there to be so many mountains and so deep valleys. After walking for half a day, Little Monkey finally stopped. In front of them was an abnormally thick old tree. It was about 2 feet in diameter, and its branches and leaves were quite lush. But there were no birds on this tree. Lu Kuan found a hole in the middle of the tree. There was a faint black mist floating out of this hole. At this time, Little Monkey had already hidden behind Lu Kuan. With Lu Kuan's eyesight, he saw a black venomous snake in the tree hole. It wasn't big, but there was a faint black mist coming out of its mouth. At a glance, it was extremely poisonous. The black scales on its body had a metallic luster. Seeing this, Lu Kuan slowly pulled Little Monkey and retreated outside. "You're talking about this snake? You don't have to die if you want to eat snake meat. It looks extremely poisonous. Why are the beasts you meet getting fiercer and fiercer?" Lu Kuan scolded Little Monkey, thinking that it was still hungry for snake meat. Squeak, squeak, Little Monkey pointed at the snake in the tree hole, jumped, and pointed at its stomach. "You said that the thing that's useful to me is in the snake's stomach?" Lu Kuan also understood Little Monkey's meaning. He lowered his head and thought. Since he had come so far, he had to gain something. First of all, the black poisonous gas definitely couldn't stick to it. If his fist directly hit the vital part of the snake's body, with the power of his current elemental energy explosion, he would definitely be able to kill it. But if he got so close, it would be very dangerous. He could easily be sprayed by the poisonous gas. The maximum power of the air-piercing energy explosion was within a range of 3 meters. Looking at the hard scales of this strange snake, it would be impossible to kill it unless the energy hit it several times in a row. With his current cultivation, he could use the energy absorbed from the breath of life 3 times. He could use 2 times to support the explosive steps and the remaining time to attack. Although the attack power was reduced, it was safer. The elemental energy explosion was now much more powerful than when Lu Kuan had just entered the 2nd level. With the breath of life in his body, it was completely enough to absorb more than 5 times. He had a plan in mind. Lu Kuan asked Little Monkey to throw stones from a distance to lure the snake out of its hole. He prepared to launch a sneak attack from behind a nearby tree. Little Monkey hid in a tree 10 meters away from the tree hole and threw a fist-sized stone into the snake hole. A black shadow slowly swam out. Lu Kuan heaved a sigh of relief. This speed wasn't considered fast. Little Monkey then threw a stone at the snake's head. The black snake began to speed up and swim towards Little Monkey's position. When it wasn't far from Lu Kuan used the explosive steps and shot out like an arrow. He appeared within 3 meters of the black snake. His right fist, followed by an elemental energy explosion, accurately hit the vital part of the snake's body. Then, he used the 2nd explosive steps to retreat. Just as he left the black snake, he saw that the snake's head was already at the position where Lu Kuan had attacked. Seeing the snake's explosive speed, Lu Kuan, who was hiding 10 meters away, broke out in a cold sweat. If he hadn't been cautious, he would have been bitten. The black snake couldn't find its target and began to swim around the tree. Lu Kuan could clearly see that the scales at the vital part of the snake's body were slightly damaged. One had to know that the attack just now could shatter ordinary stones. It could be seen that the scales were harder than rock. It would take 1 or 2 attacks. Lu Kuan simply circulated his breath of life, soothing his body that wasn't used to the burst step. This was something he had discovered after being smashed by the little monkey under the waterfall these past few days. Circulating the breath of life could simply heal the damage to the body. After a while, Lu Kuan was ready to attack again. At this time, Little Monkey jumped to Lu Kuan's side. It pulled at his trousers and raised its hand. It had caught a fat rat. Lu Kuan already understood Little Monkey's meaning. Now that the black snake was vigilant, it would be dangerous to rush out and attack immediately. After whispering with Little Monkey for a while, he let Little Monkey go to the other side. Lu Kuan threw a stone at the black snake. It was very strong and hit the snake's head. However, the black snake wasn't in a hurry to swim towards Lu Kuan. At this time, a small black shadow flew towards the black snake from the other side. The black snake quickly turned around and opened its bloody mouth, biting at the shadow with lightning speed. At this moment, Lu Kuan made his move. Using the same method, he struck the snake's weak point with a blast of energy before quickly retreating. After being struck twice, the snake's scales had already been broken and it was bleeding. The black snake shook its head and the fat rat in its mouth subconsciously fell down, as if it was a little dizzy. Lu Kuan made up his mind. He didn't care about recovering his body and rushed out. He grabbed the snake's tail and threw it at the tree trunk. The snake's head hit the tree trunk and the huge force caused the thick tree to shake. Lu Kuan followed closely behind, trying his best to circulate a trace of qi, and punched the snake's 7-inch scale with his fist. Chapter 30. Lu Kuan looked at the blood coming out of his body and smiled bitterly. In a moment of desperation, he continued to fight without waiting for his body to recover from the explosive steps, which caused some damage to his muscles. Therefore, he began to circulate the breath of life in his body to heal. Not long after, Lu Kuan opened his eyes and found that after healing, his body had strengthened a little. It seemed that he was not far from a breakthrough. Lu Kuan looked at the black snake's body and found that Little Monkey was holding a stone in his hand and desperately smashing the scales on the snake's belly. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry and walked over. This black snake was more than 10 feet long, only a little bigger than yesterday's snake, but the scales on its body were many times harder. An ordinary knife would definitely not be able to cut it. Lu Kuan took advantage of the fact that there was still some breath of life in his body and hit the area where Little Monkey was hitting. The snake's body suddenly broke into two parts, probably because its defense was greatly reduced after death. Little Monkey excitedly took out a snake's gallbladder from the broken area and swallowed it. "Didn't you say it was useful to me? Why did you eat it? Spit it out quickly." When Lu Kuan saw this, he immediately grabbed Little Monkey and shook it. Squeak, squeak. Little Monkey shook its head and pointed to another place on the snake's body. "You said that what I want is here?" Looking at its affirmative expression, Lu Kuan put Little Monkey down and used the last of his energy to break the snake's body. At the broken area, he found a small stone with a dark red halo. It was about the size of a palm. When Lu Kuan held it in his hand, his face changed greatly. Breath of life. This stone is actually full of breath of life, but it is slightly different from the one I cultivated. This stone gives me a fiery feeling. Little Monkey, is this what you were talking about? Lu Kuan said to Little Monkey. Squeak. Little Monkey kept nodding and looked at the stone with envy. Try it tomorrow. There is no way to cultivate breath of life today. After saying this, Lu Kuan began to process the black snake. He planned to cut off the snake's head and take away most of the snake's meat. This snake was so powerful that the essence in its meat was much better than that of ordinary wild beasts. One man and one monkey began to carry the snake meat back to the riverside. Before they left, Lu Kuan had an idea and used a piece of cloth to carry the snake head. That night, the man and the monkey continued to eat snake meat by the river. It was indeed the meat of a mutated snake, and it tasted delicious. After eating it, he felt his blood flow become stronger. The next morning, Lu Kuan held the small stone in his hand and began to cultivate the breath of life. After cultivating for a while, he felt a burning breath of life enter his body from the stone. The amount was much more than usual. The little gray monkey beside him was also sitting cross-legged beside Lu Kuan. It had a serious look on its face, as if it was cultivating. However, its swinging tail revealed its mood. 2 hours later, Lu Kuan finished cultivating. When he opened his eyes, they were full of surprise. This time, the breath of life he cultivated was almost half of the amount he had on the day of the eruption. This breath of life was a little hot, and he was a little not used to it. Next, Lu Kuan cultivated where he was and did not go to the waterfall. If he went to cultivate there, he would not be able to finish cultivating in a day. After half a day, Lu Kuan finished circulating the breath of life. Using this stone to cultivate for half a day was equivalent to a week of bitter cultivation. But strangely, after being strengthened, his body did not have the slightest heat. Squeak, hearing the little monkey's cry, Lu Kuan found that it seemed easier to understand its meaning today. Yes, this thing of yours is really useful for my cultivation. By the way, that day I pretended to cultivate under the waterfall. How did you know I was going to ambush you? Lu Kuan's relationship with the little monkey had become very harmonious these 2 days, so he asked the question in his heart. Squeak, squeak. Seeing the little monkey, it pointed to its ears and then to its head, unusually proud. You said that you could hear me talking to myself from afar, so you played me at my own game. Lu Kuan was dumbfounded when he understood. It could hear his muttering from hundreds of feet away and with the noise of the waterfall. What a strange monkey. Lu Kuan touched the monkey's ears and golden hair with emotion. Although you have gray hair, there is a tuft of gold on your head. Moreover, you are very talented. I will call you Xiao Jin from now on. Xiao Jin angrily slapped Lu Kuan's hand and jumped away, not satisfied with the name. Its expression made Lu Kuan laugh. Over the next few days, with the help of the stone, Lu Kuan slowly approached the 3rd level of the Vajra art. The day it erupted would be the day he broke through. Lu Kuan used the black snake's tree hole to break through and let Xiao Jin protect him. When he started cultivating, Lu Kuan felt an even more intense fiery life aura gushing out of the stone and happily rushing into his body. Lu Kuan was so surprised by this phenomenon that he almost stopped cultivating. It took him a long time to calm down. Xiao Jin, who was outside the cave, immediately felt the difference. It ran to the cave entrance and stared at Lu Kuan. Lu Kuan did not stop after cultivating the life aura. He immediately started circulating it. This time, the amount was at least 100 times more than usual. It crazily washed over his body. With every cycle, Lu Kuan felt the scorching heat begin to seep into his body, and his skin began to turn slightly red. It didn't take long for him to easily break through the bottleneck and enter the third level. Such a smooth breakthrough was partly due to the effect of the mutated snake meat. After a long time, he slowly opened his eyes and saw Xiao Jin staring at him in the cave. Lu Kuan smiled. "Thank you, Xiao Jin. If it weren't for the stone you found, I wouldn't have broken through so quickly. I really don't know how to repay you." Squeak, squeak. Seeing Xiao Jin's smug expression, it pointed at the stone. "Are you saying that I should give you this stone? Alright, since you were the one who found it and I just want to break through, I'll give it to you." Lu Kuan thought for a moment and gave the stone to Xiao Jin. After Xiao Jin received the stone, it was abnormally excited and kept somersaulting. Lu Kuan closed his eyes and began to feel the differences in his body. First of all, his entire body had been strengthened once again. His strength and defense had greatly increased. His blood had also begun to change. It contained a bit of life aura. Presumably, it was because his muscles relied on blood to provide energy. It improved his muscles and improved the blood supply ability. As a result, his endurance and explosive power had greatly increased. Following that, Lu Kuan began to circulate the force of the exploding fist in his body. Lu Kuan felt a trace of heat in it. He punched a tree branch outside the cave and the branch broke. The fracture was filled with black ashes as if it had been burned by fire. Why was the force normal a few days ago, but it only changed today? Furthermore, this fiery force reminded Lu Kuan of the primordial fire waterfall fist. However, its power was many times weaker than the primordial fire waterfall fist described. The real primordial fire waterfall fist's scorching force could even melt iron. Chapter 31. There was a small hill about 10 li south of the official road at the south gate of Huayuan City. The hill was about 4 to 5 zhang tall and had only a few plants. Beside the hill was a rather large tree that was verdant and lush, giving the hill a bit more life. Under the shade of the tree, if one looked carefully, one would find a tavern. This was a small tavern where thirsty passers-by on the official road could drink some wine and eat some snack. At the moment, there were only 3 guests in the tavern. The owner of the shop was an old man about 50 years old. He was nervously serving the 3 burly men. There were 2 plates of beef and a jar of wine on the table. The 3 men looked somewhat similar and were about 40 years old. The man in the middle of the table had a long face and spirited eyes. There was a black mole on his forehead and he wore black clothes. His eyes were expressionless as he looked in the direction of the south gate of Huayuan City. The man on the left had a similar face shape and was rather fair. He wore a long blue robe and drank wine leisurely. From time to time, he would eat a piece of beef. The last man looked younger and wore gray clothes. His expression was somewhat impatient. There was a longsword in front of the 3 men's table. The man in the blue robe looked at his 2 companions and was somewhat helpless. "Big brother, third brother, drink some wine and eat some meat. Don't be so depressed. Second brother, it's about time. Nothing will go wrong, right?" The youngest man was somewhat impatient. "Third brother, there's still some time before the appointed time. Come, drink with me." The man in the blue robe poured wine for the man in the gray robe. The third brother had no choice but to drink a cup with the man in the blue robe. The man in the blue robe continued, third brother. Right now they still think that our Five Venom sect is in the north to take over their properties. In the end, the north gate is very strict. They definitely won't think that we've crossed the mountains and taken a detour to the rather lax south gate. And this is the first time our spy, who has been in hiding for many years, is carrying out a mission within the sect. No one will suspect anything, and under our influence, his current position within the sect is not low. The man called third brother was still somewhat worried. But second brother, this is their Iron Fist sect's territory. If they discover something, won't we be in great danger? At that moment, the black-clothed man said, "Third brother, the Iron Fist school's strength is no longer what it used to be. The three of us, the Lee brothers, are not easy to deal with. Our pine tree sword technique, when combined, can rival a superclass expert. Even if that sect leader Zhao personally makes a move, he might not be able to take us down. If it were anyone else, they would definitely not be able to return. That Iron Fist school's Grand Elder won't make a move." The green-robed man glanced at his third brother and said, "Don't worry, this Grand Elder is in seclusion all year round. He won't make a move unless it's a matter of life and death for the sect. Furthermore, according to our sect's records, this fellow is probably over 100 years old. People of this age can't recklessly use their true chi unless they're really forced into a corner." At this moment, the man in black interrupted them. "Someone's coming." In the distance, a man with broad shoulders and a round waist was driving a carriage slowly towards them. This man was wearing a straw hat and his face was shadowed, making it difficult to see his face clearly. After the eldest brother carefully observed, he said, "That's right, it's really him." The man driving the carriage quickly approached the wine shop. "So it's the three Lee elders who have personally come. Then it's absolutely safe. Right now in the carriage is the only son of the Iron Fist School's sect leader. The three people here were the three famous Lee brothers of the Five Poisons sect. They were all first-rate experts, and the three of them were telepathically connected. The power of their combined attacks was astonishing." The man pulled open the curtain of the carriage, revealing a sleeping youth. This youth had thin and long eyebrows. Although his eyes were closed, he still gave off a heroic aura. Don't look at his young age. He's already a second-rate martial artist. Furthermore, he's already begun to cultivate ice true chi. This little baby is a second-rate martial artist? You're lying to me. When I was his age, I was just a third-rate martial artist. The third brother of the Lee family was extremely surprised. The man on the horse had already dismounted and handed the youth over to the eldest brother of the Lee family. He said, "This youth is also very alert. He never shows off in front of others. Only his father knows of his martial arts progress. If it wasn't for you guys secretly helping me some time ago and entering the realm of a first-rate martial artist, I wouldn't have been able to succeed in my sneak attack. Today I was able to smoothly enter the city to buy and sell goods. No one knew it was me. Oh right, there's one more thing I have to remind you guys. Right now, the four great guardian deities of the Iron Fist School are very powerful. Each of them is close to the level of a first-rate martial artist. It won't be easy to take down the Iron Fist School. It's just those kids of the Iron Fist School who are cultivating the guardian deity arts. They're only at a decent level among the second-rate martial artists." The third brother of the Lee family was somewhat disdainful. "You're wrong. Right now, with the help of the inner elders, they've reached the second level of the guardian deity arts. Their strength has greatly increased." The man shook his head. "It was only because the inner elders were busy that I had the chance to kidnap this little guy. There's also a new first-rate martial artist in the school called Lu Kuan. He's an absolute genius. According to their description, his strength is comparable to Yu Yun's. Right now, he's in seclusion. When he comes out, his strength will most likely increase even further." The eldest brother of the Lee family frowned. How did the Iron Fist School's strength increase so quickly recently? It seems that I have to go back and report to the Great Elder. We have to act as soon as possible. You go back first and wait for the final opportunity. The big man cupped his fists and drove the carriage back. Only the Lee brothers were left in the tavern. When the big man disappeared from sight, the eldest brother of the Lee family said, "Since you're already awake, there's no need to pretend to be asleep. It seems that he still underestimated you. I didn't think that this senior brother was actually your spy. Your Five Venoms sect had already prepared to act before the Great Elder died." At this moment, the young boy opened his eyes and spoke calmly. "Little guy, did you think that we wouldn't kill you? Since you spent so much effort to capture me alive, I'm sure that I'll be of more use to you alive. To have such knowledge and cultivation at such a young age, if we don't act in the near future, in a few years, we won't be able to deal with your Iron Fist school." The second brother of the Lee family said, "You're right. If Zhang Yang hadn't died, we would have been able to deal with him. We 3 first-rate martial artists specially circled around here to capture a 10-year-old kid like you. You wouldn't have lived in vain." The young boy said, "All right, but even if you capture me, you won't be able to deal with our Iron Fist school. The Grand Elder can act at any time. Moreover, as he said just now, there are now 5 more first-rate martial artists in the school. Little guy, there's no need for you to disturb us. Second brother, take care of the outsiders. We'll leave immediately and take a detour through the mountain range beside Golden Silk Lake." Chapter 32. In the evening, Lu Kuan was eating grilled fish beside a lake inlaid with golden silk. He had already bid farewell to the little monkey yesterday and was on his way back to Huayuan City. Passing by Golden Silk Lake and seeing such a beautiful scene, Lu Kuan couldn't help but want to try the fish here again. He went into the lake and caught 2, then started a fire and began to grill them. This fish is really fresh and tender. It's so fragrant after eating it. Too bad there's no honey. I'll have to ask Xiao Jin for some next time. As he ate, Lu Kuan recalled the scene where the little monkey had teased him for honey and couldn't help but laugh. At this time, some voices came from afar. "I say, second brother, what are we doing at Golden Silk Lake? We have to hurry on our way to avoid new problems." "What do you know? This Golden Silk Lake is famous outside. The fish here are even more tender and delicious. We can only use local ingredients to cook. It's getting late, we should finish eating before we continue on our way." Lu Kuan turned his head and saw 3 middle-aged men leading a youth towards the lake. He first looked at the youth and saw a trace of surprise flash in the youth's eyes. After a while, his expression returned to normal. Lu Kuan then looked at the other 3 men and was shocked. These 3 have spirited eyes and bulging temples. Their auras are about the same as Elder Yu's. They must be first-rate experts. Although these 3 people were quite eye-catching, Lu Kuan was thinking about this youth. Thin eyebrows, big eyes, and full of heroic spirit. Judging from his eyes, he should know me. To be able to recognize me at this age, he can only be a disciple of the Iron Fist school. I don't think there was anyone like him in my batch. Lu Kuan was thinking about the young man, but his eyes were still looking at the 3 men. These 3 men were the 3 Lee brothers. Among them, the third brother of the Lee family was unhappy when he saw Lu Kuan constantly sizing them up. He glared at Lu Kuan and said, "Brat, why do you keep staring at us? Do you have something to say?" Lu Kuan's train of thought was interrupted. He rudely replied, "Are you guys not allowed to look at me? Brat, you're courting death, aren't you?" Old Third's temper was irritable, and he was quite angry. "Third brother, come back. Brother, my third brother doesn't know any better. Please don't mind him." The black-clothed man immediately pulled his third brother back, and cupped his hands in apology to Lu Kuan. Lu Kuan waved his hand, indicating that he didn't mind. The 3 Lee brothers slowly walked to the other side of the lake. The third brother asked the eldest brother, "Big brother, why did you pull me back just now? How could a village bumpkin be so arrogant? The boss shook his head. We can't act rashly. This person gives me a very strong sense of threat. It's best not to provoke him. I can't tell how high his inner chi cultivation is. Big brother, are you mistaken? At this time, the second son of the Li family also said, I'm the same as Big brother, but the feeling he gives me is very similar to Zhang Yang back then. Third brother's face was filled with shock. It can't be. Could it be someone from the Iron Fist school? The eldest brother's face didn't look too good. He said to his two brothers, It doesn't matter if it's him or not. Let's hurry on our way. If we delay, things might change. Looking at the three brothers in the distance, Lu Kuan suddenly remembered that he had joined the Iron Fist School's caravan 2 years ago by the Golden Silk Lake. At that time, Elder Yu had brought him to see the Iron Fist School's young master. Wasn't it this youth? Recalling the youth's expression just now, Lu Kuan knew that he was being held hostage. Putting down the grilled fish, Lu Kuan quickly walked towards the three brothers. The vigilant eldest brother of the Li family immediately noticed Lu Kuan's movements and stopped. Sir, what's the matter? The three of us still have to hurry on. It's nothing. I just feel that I have some fate with this youth, so I want to treat him to some grilled fish. Can the three of you make it convenient? What if we say no? Then Lu will have no choice but to take action. Just as Lu Kuan finished speaking, the three Li brothers looked at each other. Their thoughts were connected, and they pulled out their treasured swords at the same time. With a few flashes, they surrounded Lu Kuan. At this moment, the three of them were like a single entity. Their expressions and auras were completely identical. Lu Kuan secretly circulated his origin explosion chi gene. At this moment, his body was filled with vitality, and the speed of his origin explosion chi gene was much faster than before. Facing the three of them alone, he had no fear in his heart. The three Li brothers didn't say much. They used a set of sword techniques to envelop Lu Kuan in sword shadows. Lu Kuan first tried to use his eyesight and spiritual sense to dodge. He discovered that the three of them were very well coordinated. Often, when he was dodging, there would be sword moves waiting for him. After more than 10 moves back and forth, Lu Kuan's clothes had already been cut several times. In a situation where he didn't use his chi gene, he couldn't even touch the corners of his opponent's clothes. The three Li brothers were also very shocked. Although it seemed like the three of them had the upper hand, none of their attacks made their opponent bleed. In fact, their opponent's body even faintly felt a bit of rebound force. It was clear that this person's martial arts had reached the pinnacle. Ordinary swords and sabers wouldn't be able to break through his defense. However, they weren't ordinary people either. They had rich battle experience, and in the blink of an eye, they began to change their moves. Second brother and third brother respectively used quick moves to attack Lu Kuan's eyes and crotch. Although Lu Kuan was very confident in his defense, he still felt a lot of psychological pressure to use those parts of his body to receive the attack. He leaped backwards to dodge the two moves. At the same time that he dodged, Lu Kuan also prepared to counterattack. At this moment, eldest brother, who hadn't made a move all this time, had unknowingly appeared behind Lu Kuan. His long sword was faintly wrapped in a clear light. It was clearly a sword move that contained most of his internal energy. It pierced towards Lu Kuan's back. Lu Kuan's expression changed. At this moment, in order to dodge the other two brothers' sword moves, his body was already in midair. He couldn't use his explosive steps, so he could only circulate his origin explosion chi gene to his back. Clang! The sound of two iron weapons colliding rang out. Lu Kuan was sent flying several feet away by the force of the sword and fell to the ground. The long sword in eldest brother's hand also shattered. Looking at the broken sword in his hand and the cracked web between his thumb and index finger, eldest brother sighed with emotion. This person's thwart kung fu is indeed powerful. It's a pity that the three of us joined forces and I succeeded in one move. The penetrative power of this move, pine wood raises the sky, can even penetrate steel. He was hit by me head-on. His heart has already been shattered. He's dead for sure. Just as he finished speaking, he saw Lu Kuan stand up. Impossible! When the three Li brothers saw this scene, their faces were filled with disbelief as they spoke in unison. How can mere steel be compared to me? After speaking, Lu Kuan had a fierce expression on his face. His shirt had already fallen to the ground, revealing his strong body without a trace of injury. Not good! Seeing this scene, eldest brother was shocked. A small crater appeared under Lu Kuan's body as he disappeared from where he was standing. Like a flash of lightning, he appeared in front of the Li clan's eldest brother. With a simple right fist, he struck the Li clan's eldest brother's heart. Before eldest brother could finish his words, he had already been struck by Lu Kuan. His entire upper body began to bleed as he fell backwards. If one could see inside his body, they would see that everything in his chest had turned into a pile of minced meat. Eldest brother. The other two brothers were filled with grief and indignation. At this moment, Lu Kuan took advantage of their distraction to continuously use explosive step. The primordial explosive fists, fire rain from heaven, hit the two of them at the same time, causing their muscles to go limp and they fell to the ground. Looking at his own body, Lu Kuan did not expect his defense to be so high. He had intentionally defended against eldest brother's attack, so he did not receive any damage. Lu Kuan walked towards the youth. "Young clan master, are you all right?" The youth blinked his eyes, unable to speak. When Lu Kuan saw this scene, he was also at a loss. He had never cultivated his inner strength before, so he did not know how to unseal his acupoint. Of course, if others wanted to hit his acupoints, they would not be able to break through his physical defense. "Young clan master, you don't have to blink your eyes. I don't have any inner strength, so I can't unseal your acupoint. Wait until we reach the intersect, then let someone else unseal your acupoints for you." After he finished speaking, he looked at the two enemies who had been restrained. However, he found that the two of them were vomiting blood and their eyes had turned white. They had already died. So unyielding, to actually use inner strength to sever their own veins. Lu Kuan shook his head. Considering that their martial arts were not easy to come by, he buried them in a nearby forest to prevent their corpses from being exposed in the wilderness. Chapter 33. At night, everything was quiet. Under the illumination of the two moons in the sky, one big and one small, the official road could be vaguely seen. On the road, one big and one small figure could be seen hurrying along. I didn't expect the famous Li brothers to die in the hands of Big Brother Lu. The one who spoke was the Iron Fist School's young master, Zhao Tian. 2 hours after Lu Kuan saved him, his acupoints were automatically unsealed. "Young master, who are the Li brothers?" Lu Kuan spent most of his time cultivating, so he didn't know about the experts in the nearby pugilistic world. "Big Brother Lu, with your strength, it's only a matter of time before you become the Grand Elder of our school. Just call me Tian. As for the Li brothers, they are the elders of the Five Venoms sect. They are experts in joint attacks and can fight against first-rate experts. Their positions in the Five Venoms sect are second only to the sect master and the Grand Elder. If it wasn't for a spy appearing in our school, it wouldn't have been so easy for them to catch me." "Spy? Big Brother Lu, please don't tell anyone about you saving me. After entering the city, I will disguise myself and enter the school again. I will discuss with my father how to make use of this spy." When Zhao Tian said this, his eyes were filled with a scheming expression. Looking at this young man's expression, Lu Kuan couldn't help but exclaim, "Genius! A 15-year-old second-rate martial artist with such intelligence. His future was truly limitless." "Oh right, Big Brother Lu, Under your guidance, senior brother Gua and the others entered the second stage of the Vajra art with the help of my father and uncle Yu. They are known as the four great Vajra of the Iron Fist School. Their strength is close to first-rate. Now, our Iron Fist School has at least 7 first-rate martial artists and 2 first-rate experts, Big Brother Lu and my father. Big Brother Lu also killed 3 elders of the 5 Venoms sect. Our school's crisis has been resolved, and we can even consider counterattacking. Hearing that Guo Buotao and the others had entered the second stage, Lu Kuan was rather gratified. After all, he was the one who taught them personally. How about this? Just in case, I will carry you and we will enter the city secretly at night. After Lu Kuan finished speaking, he carried the young man on his back and started running. If a first-rate martial artist were to run to Huayuan City at this speed, they would consume at least half of their inner force. Zhao Tian, who was on Lu Kuan's back, felt this speed and couldn't help but be envious of Lu Kuan's Vajra esoteric art. People like them who cultivated inner strength relied on inner strength for all their energy. How could it be as pure as Lu Kuan's? In less than 2 hours, they had arrived at the southern city gate. Lu Kuan raised his hand and threw Zhao Tian up the city wall that was several meters tall, while he himself leaped up with a burst of speed. After entering the city, under Zhao Tian's guidance, the duo stealthily bypassed the various guards and entered the Iron Fist School, arriving at the sect patriarch's courtyard. Lu Kuan didn't conceal his aura. Sect Master Zhao sensed it and walked out of the house. Tian, Lu Kuan? When the sect master saw Lu Kuan and Zhao Tian, who had sneaked in late at night, he was very surprised. He didn't see Zhao Tian in the afternoon, but he didn't pay much attention to it. He didn't think that anything would happen to his son in Huayuan City. Father, let's talk inside. There's something important. Zhao Tian shook his head when he saw that sect leader Zhao was not surprised to see him. After entering the house, Zhao Tian recounted what happened today to the sect leader. What? Tian, the spy you were talking about is Qianming? When Lu Kuan heard that the traitor was actually Qianming, he was abnormally surprised. This senior brother Qian was the senior brother Qianming who did the foundation assessment for Lu Kuan. Over the past year, senior brother Qian's cultivation had been increasing day by day and had reached the peak of second rate. Some time ago, 2 elders of the Iron Fist School were ambushed in the north, and the 3 Li brothers were among the ambushers. Not only did they severely injure Mo Qing, they also killed the number 1 expert in the school, Huang Chong. Subsequently, Elder Yu rushed over to rescue them. During the escape, Qianming risked his life to lure away the pursuers and was severely injured. After he returned to the school to recuperate, he broke through to become a first-rate expert and became the number 1 disciple in the school. He was then appointed as the new elder. The people of the Iron Fist School did not expect that while Qianming was luring away the pursuers, a few elders of the 5 Venoms sect worked together to help him break through the entrance. He then pretended to be severely injured and even kidnapped Zhao Tian when the school was careless. If Lu Kuan did not save him, the consequences would be unimaginable. When sect leader Zhao heard from Zhao Tian that Lu Kuan had easily gotten rid of the 3 Li brothers, he was pleasantly surprised. With the current situation, they could win against the 5 Venoms sect even without the use of the Grand Supreme Elder. Now that the 5 Venoms sect had lost 3 elders and exposed the spy who had been lying in ambush for many years, they would definitely start to shrink their forces. Brother Lu, I am extremely grateful. You must have reached the 3rd layer of the Vajra esoteric art, right? Sect leader Zhao was now unusually polite to Lu Kuan. It was not only because Lu Kuan had saved his son, but also because of his current strength. Sect leader Zhao is too polite. I have indeed reached the 3rd layer of the Vajra esoteric art. As expected, Brother Lu's innate talent is indeed astonishing. Even junior brother Zhang didn't have such strength when he was at the 3rd layer back then. In the future, we will address each other as senior and junior brothers. I will choose a day to announce that junior brother Lu will be the new Grand Elder of our sect. Under the guidance of the Grand Supreme Elder, junior brother will definitely be able to improve further. At that time, our Iron Fist sect. The more sect leader Zhao spoke, the more agitated he became. He even changed the way he addressed Lu Kuan. Sect leader Zhao, you are too serious. Since sect leader is talking about the late Elder Zhang, I wonder what realm Elder Zhang's Vajra esoteric art was at back then? When Lu Kuan heard sect leader Zhao talking about Zhang Yang, he couldn't help but ask. At that time, junior brother Zhang was already at the pinnacle of the 4th layer. To be honest, although the outside world thought that junior brother Zhang and I were top-notch experts, with my skills, I wasn't able to break through his defense, let alone defeat him. The Vajra esoteric art is so powerful. Is it a technique created by the Grand Supreme Elder? When Lu Kuan heard sect leader Zhao say that he wasn't a match for Zhang Yang, he was tempted and started to ask about the Vajra esoteric art. This Vajra esoteric art isn't really a secret. We have to start from 40 years ago. Sect leader Zhao then narrated the battle 40 years ago to Lu Kuan. From the current strength of junior brother Zhang and 6th junior brother, the Vajra sect was extremely powerful back then. Even if our Iron Fist sect was powerful back then, we weren't a match for them. Luckily, we had the Grand Supreme Elder, who was an immortal. That was why we were able to defeat them. When sect leader Zhao talked about the past, he felt rather emotional. That's right. Junior brother, you should have a good rest for the next 2 days. The day after tomorrow, we will pay a visit to the Grand Supreme Elder together. With junior brother's aptitude, you will definitely be able to reach the 5th layer safely. Then junior brother, I will return to the Vajra courtyard first. Lu Kuan stood up and planned to bid farewell. He was rather tired after the day. All right then. I will send someone to build a small residence near the Vajra courtyard as junior brother's residence. Lu Kuan nodded and left. After Lu Kuan left, Zhao Tian asked, Father, am I really unable to learn the Vajra esoteric art? Your innate talent is all in your inner strength. Your progress in cultivating the Vajra esoteric art will only be slow. Don't bite off more than you can chew. All right then. Father, how should we make use of this traitor? I feel that there are still spies in the sect. Let's think of a way to get rid of them all. Chapter 34. Lu Kuan returned to his residence alone and put down his bag. He didn't alarm anyone. After he returned, he wasn't thinking about the spy, but about the Grand Elder. According to the sect master, since Zhang Yang is so powerful, then he is the only one in the sect who can restrain him. He was even able to kill the few great experts from the Vajra sect back then. It can be seen that his strength has reached an unimaginable level. If he was the one who killed Zhang Yang, then what if all the people who entered the sect accidentally did the same? Wouldn't I be powerless to retaliate? Lu Kuan then shook his head and laughed in self-mockery. I might be thinking too much. On the second day, when Lu Kuan appeared in the Vajra institution, the disciples were abnormally agitated. Lu Kuan sighed with emotion when he saw them. He hadn't seen them for 2 months, and most of the disciples were close to the first stage of phenomenal mastery. It seemed like he could guide them in practicing the essence explosion fist. Senior brother Lu, no, it seems like I have to call you Elder Lu. The sect master has just informed the inner disciples that Elder Lu has reached the 3rd stage of the Vajra art. His strength is comparable to a first-rate expert, and he has been promoted to the Grand Elder of the sect. A coarse voice came from outside the institution. It was a square-headed, big-eared, and slightly plump young man. Fatty Chow? Is that you? We haven't seen each other for such a short period of time. Where is your fat? Lu Kuan took a long time to identify him from his appearance and voice. When I reached the first stage of phenomenal mastery, I had already slimmed down a lot. After I broke through to the second stage, I have no idea how I became like today. Chao Yunqi looked at his own body with a strange expression. It seemed like he wasn't used to the change in his body shape. Haha. Congratulations to Elder Lu for reaching the third stage of the Vajra art. At this moment, Guo Buotao, Zhang Tianbiao, and Ouyang Yun walked over and started to congratulate Lu Kuan. Congratulations to Elder Lu for making great progress. Following which, the other disciples of the Vajra institution also congratulated Lu Kuan in unison. All of them had abnormally excited expressions and felt honored, as though they were the ones who had improved greatly in their cultivation. Ever since Guo Buotao and the others made a name for themselves as the four great guardian deities, all the disciples of the Vajra institution were highly respected in the sect. They also knew that the reason why the four great guardian deities had such strength was all because of Lu Kuan's guidance. It could be said that all the disciples of the Vajra institution had become a force, and the leader was Lu Kuan. Now that Lu Kuan had become an elder, and the Vajra art had improved by another level, it was equivalent to their status in the sect being improved by another level. Unknowingly, Lu Kuan had already established his own influence in the sect. Judging from the expressions of these disciples, it wouldn't be a problem for Lu Kuan to get them to support him as the sect master. In the previous world, Lu Kuan was also someone who had been a boss. After a round of encouragement, he got these disciples to go and cultivate in full swing. Following which, Lu Kuan brought the four great guardian deities to the art instruction hall. This art instruction hall was newly built, and it was mainly used for the disciples of the Vajra institution to exchange static strength training. The room was around 300 feet square. Other than the empty space in the middle of the room, there were some single and parallel bars in the surroundings. There were some hanging rings on the beams, and they were all requested by Lu Kuan to be made in the sect. They were of great help to the first stage of the Vajra art. There were a few disciples who had just entered the room. When they saw Lu Kuan and the others, they immediately cupped their hands and left. How do you feel after cultivating the second stage of the Vajra art? After seeing the disciples leaving, Lu Kuan asked about the matter that he was concerned about. After we entered the second stage, our progress was extremely slow. We could only cultivate a trace of life aura every 4 to 5 days. If we really want to enter the third stage, we would need to spend at least 6 years, Guo Buotao said with an unpleasant expression. At this moment, the others also revealed bitter expressions. Next, the sect master will probably send you to deal with the Five Venoms sect. After the matter with the Five Venoms sect is settled, I will think of a way to increase your cultivation speed. Senior Marshal Brother, can we use other methods to increase our cultivation speed at the second stage? There are, but this time, I am going to teach you the ultimate move of the second stage of the Origin Exploding Fist. Senior Marshal Brother, our Origin Exploding Fist now has some initial power. After breaking through the second stage, it only made the force flow more smoothly, but its true power did not increase by much. The one who spoke was Zhang Tianbiao. After this guy mastered the Origin Exploding Fist, he became even more aggressive. When he fought against the Five Venoms sect outside, he killed the most. Senior Marshal Brother, the power when you broke the wall in the stone house that day was much stronger than our Origin Exploding Fist. Guo Buotao recalled the scene in the stone house. At that time, Lu Kuan seemed to have just entered the second stage. Lu Kuan did not say much and punched the ground through the air. Boom! A lot of dust floated up from the ground. After the dust settled, a small pit with a diameter of 1 foot appeared on the stone slab on the ground. This was also the first time Guo Buotao saw Lu Kuan attack with his own eyes. He did not expect that he would be able to attack through the air. It must be known that only first-rate experts could attack through the air. The other three were even more astonished when they saw this. When you have the breath of life in your body, Circulate the force of the origin exploding fist according to its path. This way, the origin exploding fist will absorb the breath of life and deliver this origin exploding fist. I will teach you this move over the next 2 days. Treat it as a trump card and do not use it unless it is a critical moment. You are also not allowed to tell anyone about this. After this, you will need to teach the origin exploding fist to the disciples in the Vajra courtyard to increase their abilities. Understood. The 4 bowed and thanked him. Their tone was even more respectful towards Lu Kuan. On this day, after Lu Kuan finished teaching them, he took out a package from the house and left. After he left Iron Fist School, he changed into a coarse hemp garment in a secluded place. He smeared some black ash on his face and put on a hat to disguise himself as a hunter deep in the mountains. He found a pharmacy in Huayuan City and went in with a package. He only came out after half a day and entered a smithy. He stayed there until nighttime. When he returned to his residence at night, Lu Kuan looked at the things in his hands and revealed a smile. In his hands was a porcelain bottle and a dagger. After Lu Kuan killed that mutated snake in Luyang mountain range, he thought for a moment and decided to bring its head back. During the day, he disguised himself and went to a pharmacy. He lied that he was going to poison wild beasts and spent a lot of silver to get an experienced apothecary to remove the poison sac for him. He then poured the black venom into the porcelain bottle. Who knew that the apothecary would suddenly die after smelling a little of the venom? Lu Kuan stood a little further away. Even with his current physique, he still felt a little dizzy. It was obvious how intense the venom was. As for this dagger, it was a refined steel dagger that Lu Kuan spent a lot of money to modify. There was a space within the dagger, and Lu Kuan could store a small portion of the snake's venom. As long as he stabbed the target, the venom would flow from the dagger into the enemy's wound. Chapter 35. On the 3rd day after Lu Kuan's return, the sect master sent someone to inform Lu Kuan to seek an audience with the Grand Supreme Elder. On this day, sect head Zhao brought Lu Kuan to the northwest of the Iron Fist sect. This place was a bamboo garden of the Iron Fist sect. The bamboos here were brimming with vitality, as though they were growing in a vast world. They were flourishing, and there was a faint mist lingering between the bamboos. However, this garden was only 4 feet long and 3 feet wide. It was extremely small, and the contrast between the bamboos and the bamboo garden made people feel uncomfortable. Sect Master Zhao spoke to Lu Kuan with a solemn expression. Lu Kuan, you will follow my footsteps from now on. You must follow my footsteps perfectly. Seeing Lu Kuan nodding, Sect Master Zhao started to walk around the bamboos. Lu Kuan stared at his footsteps and unknowingly walked more than 100 steps. Then, his eyes lit up as a large patch of mist appeared. He couldn't even see his own fingers. Lu Kuan looked back and realized that there was only a dense bamboo forest behind him. He couldn't see the entrance either. Lu Kuan looked at Sect Master Zhao blankly. Sect Master Zhao looked nervous and shook his head, asking him to wait for a moment. Not long after, a huge rat appeared in front of him. It was about 2 feet long, had a round head, small eyes, and short ears. Its strong body was covered in black and white fur, and its tail was hairless and thick. It had a pair of steel teeth that were exposed, and it looked exceptionally fierce. Lu Kuan was shocked when he saw it and immediately retreated. However, he was stopped by Sect Master Zhao. Sect Master Zhao bowed to the huge rat and said, I'll have to trouble Lord Zhu to inform the Grand Supreme Elder that Zhao Yuanji and Lu Kuan, a disciple at the 3rd stage of the Vajra esoteric art, request an audience. The huge rat seemed to understand. It blinked its small eyes and walked into the mist. Sect Master Zhao, this is? Looking at this intelligent animal, Lu Kuan subconsciously thought of Xiao Jin. This is a mutated beast that the Grand Supreme Elder subdued. Generations of sect masters call it Mr. Zhu. It is extremely powerful, and ordinary first-rated martial artists are not its match. This kind of rat eats bamboo shoots, so the elder specially built a bamboo garden here and let it guard it. Sect Master Zhao's words revealed his reverence for the Grand Supreme Elder. Why can't we see where we came from just now? That is the Grand Supreme Elder's celestial spell. If you don't know the way to enter, you will only go in circles in the bamboo garden. After Lu Kuan heard the explanation, he turned pale with astonishment. Immortal magic, formation, spirit beast. Could it be that cultivation really existed? There are actually cultivators in this world. When Sect Master Zhao saw Lu Kuan's flabbergasted expression, he didn't mind. Back then, he was brought here by his father, and he was even worse off than Lu Kuan. Not long after, Mr. Bamboo walked over and barked twice, signaling for the two to follow him. The rat's front paws glowed with white light, and the fog in front of the white light gradually dispersed, revealing a small courtyard. The door of the courtyard was already open. When Lu Kuan and Sect Master Zhao walked to the entrance of the courtyard, an aged voice echoed, "You guys can come in directly." Lu Kuan noticed that the aura in the entire courtyard was somewhat familiar. There were quite a number of herbs in the courtyard, and the radiance on top of the herbs was flickering. It was probably an array formation. They then entered the hall in the middle and saw a haggard old man sitting in the middle of the hall. His eyes were flickering as he looked at Lu Kuan. When Lu Kuan was swept by this gaze, he was startled and immediately lowered his head as if he had been seen through. Zhao Yuanji, Lu Kuan, pays his respects to the Grand Supreme Elder. The two of them immediately bowed and greeted. Ha ha ha, it is indeed the third stage of the Vajra art. Zhao Yuanji, this person beside you must be that disciple, right? The old man's eyes flickered with unusual surprise. Reporting to the Grand Supreme Elder, he is Lu Kuan. He is exceptionally talented, and has attained the third stage in merely 2 years. Attained the third stage in 2 years. The Grand Supreme Elder was abnormally astonished when he heard this. He walked to Lu Kuan's side and placed his hand on Lu Kuan's shoulder. Lu Kuan felt a familiar aura coming from the old man's hand. Lu Kuan revealed a respectful expression, but it was as if thunder had exploded in his heart. Breath of life. It is actually the breath of life. Could it be that cultivators cultivate the breath of life? No wonder the aura in this courtyard is so familiar. The breath of life should be the so-called spirit qi. When he felt this aura, Lu Kuan seemed to understand many things. The reason why one could cultivate so quickly in the mountains was because the mountains were filled with spirit qi. While Lu Kuan was muttering in his heart, the Grand Supreme Elder was also filled with doubts. He obviously doesn't have spirit roots, so how can he cultivate at such a speed? Could it be that he is even more talented than Zhang Yang? Grand Supreme Elder, there are still 4 disciples in the sect who have attained the second stage. I wonder if they would be fortunate enough to receive your guidance? Sect leader Zhao no longer mentioned the 5 Venoms sect. Over the past 2 days, he and Zhao Tian had worked hard to ferret out all the spies in the sect. Currently, the Iron Fist sect's strength was slightly superior to the 5 Venoms sect. If the 4 Great Vajras were to improve further, then victory would be in their grasp. There are still 3 years left. If they reach the third stage, I will still guide them. All right, you may leave. The Grand Supreme Elder revealed an impatient expression. Yes, yes, Grand Supreme Elder. This junior will take his leave. Sect leader Zhao noticed that the Grand Supreme Elder's expression was not right. He was drenched in cold sweat and immediately took his leave. Lil Bamboo, bring him out. When the giant rat heard this, it led sect leader Zhao out. Lu Kuan, from today onwards you will stay at my place until you break through the 5th stage. Now, follow me. After the Grand Supreme Elder finished speaking to Lu Kuan, he immediately walked towards the backyard. Lu Kuan could only follow him obediently. Ever since he knew that this old man might be an immortal cultivator, Lu Kuan had temporarily put aside all other thoughts in his heart. In his impression, immortal cultivators were much stronger than ordinary people. Before he understood the old man's methods, he did not dare to take any risk. After a while, Lu Kuan followed the old man to the backyard. Everything in front of him was white and misty, and he could not see anything clearly. The old man chanted an incantation, and a ray of yellowish-brown light shot out from his hand. A small courtyard gradually appeared in front of him. There was a small stone house in the middle of the courtyard, and strange circular lines were imprinted on the ground around the stone house. These lines seemed to be some strange words, but they also seemed to be a picture with a special meaning. At the edge of the picture there were small stones of 5 colors: red, yellow, gold, blue, and green. The moment Lu Kuan saw the stones, he cried out in surprise. "Lu Kuan, you have seen these things before?" When Lu Kuan heard the elder's emotionless words, he felt an indescribable chill. He was quick-witted as he replied, "Elder, I once picked up a red rock with a dim glow on Mount Luyang. It was because of that rock that I was able to break through to the 3rd level by luck." "I see. Then your innate talent is not bad. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to reach the 3rd stage so quickly with the help of a low-grade spirit stone that doesn't have much spirit energy." The old man nodded and understood the reason why Lu Kuan was able to reach the 3rd stage so quickly. Excluding the effect of the spirit stone, his innate talent should be about the same as Zhang Yang's. "Take this. There are over 20 fasting pills inside. One pill will allow you to not need to eat for a month. After this, you will cultivate here. I will be going on a long trip tomorrow. I will be back in half a year if I am short and a year if I am long. If you have any questions, you can ask them now." Seeing Lu Kuan's hesitant look, the old man said to him. Chapter 36. Lu Kuan glanced at the old man and asked cautiously, "Grand Elder, may I ask what this spirit stone is? It seems to contain the aura of life." "That's right. The aura of life mentioned in the Vajra esoteric art is spiritual energy. Spiritual energy exists between heaven and earth and is the most mystical energy. Spirit stones are stones that contain a large amount of spiritual energy and are extremely precious," the old man said faintly as he pulled out a yellowish-brown stone from nowhere. The creator of the Vajra esoteric art is indeed a genius. He actually thought of using the contraction of the flesh and muscles to attract the spiritual energy of heaven and earth into the body, tempering the body and giving it some unique abilities. Oh right, this is the 4th and 5th level of the cultivation technique. You only need to cultivate according to it and there won't be any hidden dangers. While speaking, the old man handed Lu Kuan a small booklet. This old man has studied the Vajra esoteric art for so many years and can answer any of your questions. Is there anything you don't understand about the cultivation technique? Elder, I just entered the 3rd level and have some doubts about the cultivation of the 3rd level. Lu Kuan then began to ask some questions about the 3rd level. The old man answered him one by one. During the conversation with Lu Kuan, the old man discovered that Lu Kuan was indeed different from the rest. His understanding of the Vajra esoteric art was unique, and Lu Kuan was even more enlightened after listening to the old man's answers. The 3rd level mainly focused on strengthening the bones. Almost all the muscles were attached to the bones. As the spiritual energy circulated skillfully, it would begin to affect the bones. After cultivating to the 3rd level, the density and hardness of the bones would greatly increase. At that time, the joints of the entire body would be weapons, and close combat would definitely be a nightmare for the enemy. Grand Elder, why can't I use the spiritual energy you mentioned, and why can't it exist in my body for too long? Taking this opportunity, Lu Kuan intended to ask about the spiritual energy because he remembered the change of 10 days when he was cultivating. The Grand Supreme Elder glanced at him indifferently, as if he was looking at an ant. However, he still explained, only those who have spirit roots have the ability to manipulate spirit chi. Those who don't have spirit roots are lucky enough to be able to feel it. Lu Kuan broke out in a cold sweat under the old man's stare. However, after hearing this explanation, the doubts in his heart grew. Could his outburst every 10 days be related to his spirit root? Also, the fiery force that he had unleashed that day had disappeared the next day. Could it also be related to his spirit root? These thoughts flashed through Lu Kuan's mind. These were his secrets, and he did not want to be dissected by this person. Then Grand Elder must have cultivated the Vajra esoteric art to perfection. Lu Kuan was afraid that the other party would see through his thoughts, so he spoke out in a flattering tone. If only I had obtained this Vajra esoteric art 20 years earlier. Unfortunately, I was already over 50 years old when I obtained it and could not cultivate it. Looking at Lu Kuan's trembling expression, the old man thought of something and began to speak in a strange tone. You don't have to call me Grand Supreme Elder. Just call me Ancestor Morong. I can also be considered one of the founders of the Iron Fist School. These words seemed to resound in Lu Kuan's heart. 70 years ago, I was seriously injured and was saved by a brother Zhao from Huayuan City. Later, the two of us founded the Iron Fist School together. In order to repay his kindness, I made an oath to become an elder of the school and protect the Iron Fist School for life. Now I am already over 90 years old and do not have many years left to live. However, the strength of the Iron Fist School is not as good as it used to be. I can only think of every method to increase the strength of the Iron Fist School in the last few years of my life. Now, the strongest martial art in the Iron Fist School is the Vajra esoteric art. As long as a disciple cultivates it to the 5th layer and above, the Iron Fist School's strength will greatly increase. I don't need to say it. You should be able to guess the preciousness of these spirit stones. I hope that you can break through to the 5th layer as soon as possible. This way, this old man can leave in peace. After Ancestor Morong finished speaking, he had an expression that said he could die without regret. Ancestor, I will definitely cultivate seriously and break through to the 5th layer as soon as possible to repay Ancestor's kindness. After Lu Kuan heard this, he immediately knelt down. His face was filled with excitement and he looked like he was about to shed tears of gratitude. All right, you can stay here and cultivate. I hope that by the time I return, you will have already broken through to the 4th layer. Ancestor Morong rubbed his temples as if he was somewhat tired. Farewell, Ancestor. At this moment, Lu Kuan's expression was as if he was seeing off his own elder. After seeing the Ancestor leave, Lu Kuan's face was filled with fanaticism. He entered the stone house and began to cultivate cross-legged. Outside the formation, Ancestor Morong saw Lu Kuan's actions and was quite satisfied. He muttered to himself, in order to let him cultivate wholeheartedly, I have no choice but to use this technique that consumes his divine sense. It seems that the effect is not bad. Next, I will go out and search for some supplementary pills that can increase my chances of building a foundation. After he finished speaking, Ancestor Morong instructed the greater rat and walked out of the courtyard. Suddenly, a leaf-shaped object appeared in his hand. He chanted an incantation and the object turned into a huge leaf. It carried Ancestor Morong and flew into the distance. Not long after, it disappeared into the horizon. Lu Kuan continued to cultivate in the small stone house until night fell. The red mark and purple light on his chest began to glow faintly. At this moment, Lu Kuan's body suddenly twitched and he fainted on the ground. After a long time, Lu Kuan slowly woke up. His eyes were somewhat dazed, as if he had thought of something and revealed an expression of lingering fear. It turned out that when the purple light shone, his body felt as if it had been struck by lightning. He felt a wave of numbness and fainted. After he woke up, he remembered all his previous actions. That old devil Murong must have used some kind of magic on me. It made me lose my soul and only know how to cultivate crazily. That feeling of being electrocuted just now should be due to this purple light. It should be related to that thunderbird. Then, could this red mark be related to that great ape? Lu Kuan touched his chest with his hand as he recalled the great battle in his dream. Since there are cultivators here, then that dream is most likely real. In the end, it's very likely that the shattered space brought me here. AI, let's think about our current situation. That old devil Murong used a magic on me to make me cultivate wholeheartedly and not think about anything else. Zhang Yang from before must have been this old devil's doing. But why would he help me cultivate and then deal with someone who cultivates the Vajra esoteric art? This was what Lu Kuan could not figure out. Thinking about it, Lu Kuan picked up the manual. On it was written the 4th and 5th layer. Casually glancing at it, Lu Kuan found something wrong. The Vajra esoteric art he saw on the parchment had the 4th layer refining the bone marrow and the 5th layer refining the nerve. But the one that old devil Murong gave him was the 4th layer refining the bone marrow and the 5th layer was still refining the bone marrow. Bone marrow is where the human body produces blood. This old bastard gave me this kind of cultivation method either because he doesn't want me to cultivate to a high level, which would be disadvantageous to him, or refining bone marrow is extremely beneficial to him, and this old bastard needs my blood. Lu Kuan let his imagination run wild, and actually managed to guess most of Ancestor Murong's intentions. Chapter 37. Even though he had been cultivating crazily during the day, he could still feel the mysticism of this array. This array that was embedded with 5 low-grade spirit stones allowed the amount of spirit chi to enter his body was far beyond his imagination. After cultivating for a short period of time, his body was already saturated with spirit chi. He spent an entire day before barely digesting it. It seemed like this array was to allow him to reach the upper limit of his current cultivation speed every day. What Lu Kuan needed to do was to mechanically repeat his cultivation. Even the creator of the Vajra esoteric art wouldn't have thought that a cultivator would waste 5 low-grade spirit stones to specially set up a spirit-gathering array for a mortal to cultivate. Cultivators wouldn't even bother about mortals without spirit roots, let alone wasting such resources. A few days later, Lu Kuan reached the time of the 10 days transformation. This time, Lu Kuan didn't take it to heart. Now that he was saturated with spirit chi every day, he had to wait until he reached the next level. However, when Lu Kuan started to circulate the spirit chi to strengthen his body, he accidentally realized that he could control the spirit chi without contracting his muscles. The spirit chi could circulate according to his thoughts. Lu Kuan, who felt something strange, immediately stopped. What's going on? Didn't old freak Murong say that only those with spirit roots can control spirit chi? Why am I able to control it today? Could it be that my spirit roots only appeared today and disappeared on the other days? That must be it. That day, when old geezer heard that I had reached the 3rd level in 2 years, he specially came to check on me. He must have wanted to check if I had spirit root. That day, it just so happened that the spirit roots disappeared, so he didn't find out. That's why he looked at me like I was an ant when he talked about spirit root. This means that the spirit roots must be of great help to the cultivation of the Vajra esoteric art. I have to study it properly. In the past, I didn't have such a luxurious cultivation environment for me to discover this. Next, Lu Kuan started to search for a way to increase his cultivation speed. When he controlled the spirit chi circulation, the spirit chi wouldn't be consumed. In fact, it would be consumed very slowly and wouldn't be able to achieve the effect of strengthening his body. However, if he continued to contract his muscles according to the Vajra esoteric arts chant and used his thoughts to circulate the spirit chi would be consumed very quickly. In just half a day, Lu Kuan had already consumed all the spirit qi that was saturated and used it to strengthen his body. After finishing his cultivation, there was no more spirit energy in his body. However, Lu Kuan could still clearly feel the dense spirit energy around him. He tried to use his will to circulate the spirit energy, and as a result, a large amount of spirit energy entered his body. Lu Kuan then continued to cultivate according to the Vajra esoteric art and quickly digested the spirit energy. After discovering these two methods, Lu Kuan was elated. He immediately arranged the cultivation process for the day when the spirit roots appeared. When the spirit root was still present, one's mind would absorb and circulate the spiritual energy. Using the Vajra esoteric formula to digest the spiritual energy and strengthen the body, the cycle would repeat until the spirit root disappeared. Furthermore, based on the experience of controlling spirit qi today, Lu Kuan had a better understanding of the elemental fire torrential fist. Back then, Lu Kuan had only memorized the primordial fire waterfall fists and had a rough understanding of its power. However, he still couldn't understand some of the descriptions. Now that he finally understood the contents, it was no wonder that it could only be used at the 7th level of the Vajra esoteric art. The 5th level of the Vajra esoteric art cultivated the nervous system, while the first few levels of the Vajra esoteric art only cultivated the nervous system. Only by mastering the 5th level of the nervous system would one be able to cultivate the 6th level of the strengthening of the internal organs. Otherwise, one wouldn't be able to control the intestines, heart muscle, and other internal organs, let alone strengthen them. The 7th level was the control of the body. At this moment, the muscles, nerves, and internal organs of the body could be controlled by one's will. Furthermore, at the 7th level, one could temporarily change the muscles on one's face and change it into another face for a short period of time. Only at this moment could one circulate the primordial fire waterfall fists and use the control of the nerves in the body to circulate the complicated frequency. This would allow one to break down the fire attribute spirit energy in the spirit energy and use it to unleash the primordial fire chi force. The primordial fire chi force could burn almost anything. It could even melt steel. It could be said to be the means of the gods. Only with this move could one compete with that old ghost. When his spirit root was still present, he could control the spirit energy very well. He only needed a portion of his muscles to be able to unleash the primordial fire chi force. However, with his current physical body, it was very likely that it wouldn't be able to withstand the power and would collapse. In the near future, Lu Kuan was very glad that he didn't recklessly try the primordial fire waterfall fist. Otherwise, he would have lost his life even before the old ghost Murong made a move. In the following days, Lu Kuan spent his time cultivating non-stop. When he was hungry, he would eat a fasting elixir. Half a year had passed. Lu Kuan relied on the spirit root that would appear once every 10 days and this spirit gathering array to break through the bottleneck of the 3rd level of the Vajra esoteric art and reach the 4th level. At this moment, he felt that the biggest change was his lethality. In the past, his fist was just a fist. Now, his fist could be used as a hammer. His knees and elbows were weapons as well. Moreover, his weight had at least doubled. During this half a year, Ancestor Murong didn't return. After Lu Kuan reached the 4th level, the 5 spirit stones had become dull and dull. The spirit energy in the stone house had also decreased. With the spirit energy in the spirit stones exhausted, Lu Kuan had no choice but to cultivate normally. Another half a year had passed. The strange thing was that the 4th level, which refined the marrow and cultivated the blood, seemed to be much easier for Lu Kuan than the previous 2 levels. Without any assistance and relying on the spirit root that would appear once every 10 days, he used half a year to break through the bottleneck and reach the 5th level. Even Lu Kuan himself was shocked. Moreover, during the process of cultivating the 4th level, His body's strength had improved tremendously. Logically, refining the marrow wouldn't increase one's strength greatly. However, the current him already had a strength of at least 2,000 gene. When Lu Kuan discovered by chance that a small portion of the red mark on his chest had disappeared, he started to ponder. This red mark should be the blood of that giant ape. My body has been slowly absorbing its blood, and my physique has been changed by the blood. This time, refining the marrow is refining the blood. Instead, it has sped up my absorption of the giant ape's blood. With its help, I was able to break through to the 5th level in a short period of time. It was very strange. It had been a year since Ancestor Murong left. Sometimes, Lu Kuan would even maliciously hope that Ancestor Murong had died outside. However, when he thought about it, he was trapped in this small courtyard by Ancestor Murong. This array was very magical. No matter what method Lu Kuan used, he couldn't get out. Looking at the remaining half of the fasting elixir, Lu Kuan could only continue to stay here and study the 5th level of the Vajra art. Now, Lu Kuan was sure that the previous cultivators of the Vajra art were all captured by old Devil Murong and their blood was used for other purposes. The Vajra art itself didn't have any danger of self-destruction. The 5th level was very difficult. The first difficulty of the Vajra art was the control of the muscles in the deeper layers. The second difficulty was the control of the organs in the human body. In our daily lives, the organs would work according to the default instructions. Even though Lu Kuan was proficient in physiological anatomy, he still didn't know how to actively sense the operation of the organs. Chapter 38. During this 1.5 years, the confrontation between Iron Fist School and Five Venoms had a new turn. Five Venoms had completely shrunk their forces. On one hand, it was because they had lost 3 first-rate experts, which greatly reduced their strength. On the other hand, the 4 guardian deities had led the disciples of the Vajra court to beat 5 Venoms until they could not do anything about it. The great elder of 5 Venoms had once personally taken action against the 4 guardian deities, but in the end, he was held back by Guo Buotao and Chao Yunqi, who both had high defense. Zhang Tianbiao and Ouyang Yiyun took the opportunity to use Origin Explosion Qi to hit him, heavily injuring him. From then on, the name of Iron Fist School's Vajra court resounded throughout the nearby martial world. 5 Venoms had shrunk back into Linghui City and no longer made any provocative move. On this day, in a mysterious backyard deep within Iron Fist School, Ancestor Murong placed his hand on Lu Kuan's wrist and closed his eyes to sense something. At this moment, the old man's hair had already turned completely gray. His complexion was pale and the wrinkles on his face were deep, as if they had been cut by an axe. After a long time, the old man removed his hand and said with an old and hoarse voice, "Not bad, you've already reached minor success in the 4th layer. At most, you'll need a year to reach the 5th layer. I'll change the spirit stones later. Also, I'll set up a formation and have the other 4 disciples of the 2nd layer come over to cultivate. You've seen my current appearance. I have at most 5 years left to live. I have to do my best to help Iron Fist School increase its strength." Lu Kuan said with a fanatical expression, "Ancestor, please do not worry. I will definitely supervise their cultivation and will not let down your efforts." After the old man heard this, a yellow blade suddenly appeared in his hand. His hands moved quickly and the blade cut through the empty space in the courtyard, digging out several dozen bricks. Then, with a wave of his hand, the blade returned to the old man's hand. With a flip of his hand, it disappeared. He muttered something under his breath, and the bricks on the ground gradually turned into stones, automatically piling up into a large stone house. The pit on the ground was also filled up. The old man walked to the side of the stone house, and a pile of strange materials appeared in his hand. Then, he began to draw on the ground. Not long after, an array formation appeared. With a wave of his hand, 5 stones of different colors were thrown out and embedded in the 5 corners of the array formation. The old man also replaced the spirit stones in Lu Kuan's stone house. Continue with your cultivation. The others will come tomorrow. With that, Ancestral Master Murong left. Lu Kuan obediently returned to the stone house to cultivate. After a while, Lu Kuan let out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, I have some understanding of the 5th level. I can slightly control the contraction of the heart muscle and reduce the flow of blood. Otherwise, I would have been discovered by this old ghost. It seems that the 4th and 5th level of the cultivation technique that the old ghost gave me is the true version of the 4th level. Just now, I saw that his face was much older than before. I reckon that he doesn't have much time left. Looks like we'll make our move a year later. Why did you call the 4 of them over? It's impossible to enter the 4th floor in a year. Right now, the most important thing for me is to enter the 6th floor as soon as possible. Then, when I have spiritual roots, I can try to use the elemental fire fiery fist. Otherwise, I have no chance of winning. Moreover, I have to think about how to use this snake venom. While speaking, Lu Kuan took out a dagger and a porcelain bottle from his body and sank into contemplation. After Ancestral Master Murong returned to his private room, he recalled the events that happened in the past year and his complexion turned ugly. A year and a half ago, he first went to a nearby market square. It just so happened that a small auction was being held. He went to take a look. Who would have thought that the final item would actually be a foundation establishment pill? At that time, Ancestral Master Murong was overjoyed. If he had this foundation establishment pill, coupled with the blood sacrifice technique, even if his aptitude was poor, his chances of successfully building his foundation would immediately increase to 80%. Therefore, he went all out to bid for it. This small auction was only targeted at aura refining cultivators. He thought that with his status, he would be able to easily win the bid. Who would have thought that in the end, a rich and overbearing boy in the 11th layer of the aura refining realm would directly buy the foundation establishment pill for 2,000 spirit stones. Generally, aura refining cultivators would at most have a few hundred spirit stones. For him to have so many spirit stones, he was most likely a disciple of a large sect or a child of a large clan. Ancestral Master Murong thought for a moment and gave up on the idea of making a move. However, after the auction ended, he saw several individual cultivators with strange expressions tailing the youth. It was obvious that they wanted to do some shady business of killing people and robbing them. Ancestral Master Murong was unwilling to give up. Relying on his profound magic power, he secretly followed the youth, hoping to fish in troubled waters. After he succeeded, he would hide back in Huayuan City. Once he succeeded in building his foundation, he could easily enter the Yang clan with that thing in his hands. At that time, he wouldn't have to fear anyone. However, after following the youth, he discovered that the boy in the 11th layer was very troublesome. Not only did he have several top-grade magic tools, he also had a large number of talismans. All those talismans were spirit stones. Those cultivators who tried to kill people and rob them were smashed to death by the youth's spirit stones. Not only did he fail to profit from the fight, but he was also accidentally hit by a fireball talisman and injured by the youth's top-grade spirit tool. Fortunately, he was already at the peak of the aura refining realm, so he managed to escape. On his way back to the market square, the injured Ancestral Master Murong was unlucky enough to be targeted by 2 aura refining heretic cultivators. After a fierce battle, although he managed to kill them, he was also seriously injured. His magic power was greatly damaged, causing him to only have 5 years of his remaining 20 years of lifespan left. Afterwards, Ancestral Master Murong had no choice but to find a secluded place and spend half a year recuperating from his injuries. Fortunately, after he finished recuperating, things went much smoother for him. He bought the foundation establishment supplementary medicinal pills he needed from the market square and rushed back to Huayuan City. In the secret chamber, Ancestral Master Murong held 2 purple-green bags in his hands with a gloomy expression. These 2 heretic cultivators can be considered to have some status. There are some useful items in their storage bags, but I've lost more than 10 years of my lifespan. My lifespan has been depleted, and the blood sacrifice for foundation establishment is insufficient in vitality. I need to temporarily replenish my vitality. Although those 4 brats who practice the Vajra arts have a slim chance of entering the 4th layer, entering the 3rd layer shouldn't be a problem. Their vitality is much stronger than ordinary people's. I'll borrow their vitality to temporarily replenish my lifespan. When he said this, the old man's expression was cold, as if those people were just food. Next, the old man took out a jade slip from one of the purple-green bags and placed it in front of his head to study it. As expected, it's a spell to replenish vitality and blood. Presumably, with their cultivation of the 3rd layer of the Vajra arts, they should be able to replenish my vitality for at least 2 months. That should be enough. After saying this, Ancestral Master Murong cast a spell to create a circular pool in the secret chamber. It was much smaller than the blood pool next to him. He then took out some materials and set up another spell formation around the pool. Coincidentally, this spell formation that temporarily replenished vitality and blood was obtained from the 2 heretic cultivators. Now I'll just wait for a year. To be safe, I'll monitor them in real time for a year. This is my last chance. There can't be any mistakes. The old man's eyes flashed with a cold light. At the same time, sect leader Zhao, who was in the Iron Fist School's Great Hall, suddenly noticed a huge rat on the roof beam. It blinked at him and his expression changed. Chapter 39. Grand Elder, your body's condition. Looking at Ancestor Murong's aged face, which was clearly on the brink of death, Sect Master Zhao was filled with grief. I know my body well. I called you here this time because I want you to bring the 4 disciples you mentioned last time here tomorrow morning. I want to give them some guidance in my final days. Hearing Sect Master Zhao's words, the old man became rather impatient. Understood, Grand Elder. My Iron Fist School is unable to repay your kindness. Sect Master Zhao knelt on the ground in gratitude. Ancestor Murong waved his hand and dismissed Sect Master Zhao. In the square of the Vajra institution, all the disciples who heard the sect master's orders cheered. They whispered to each other and discussed spiritedly. The 4 senior brothers and Elder Lu have all received guidance from the Grand Elder. Once they emerge from seclusion, just how terrifying will their strength be? Senior brothers, we'll wait for you to emerge. You must give us more guidance. The 4 guardian deities also felt very proud when they heard the discussions of the surrounding disciples. Over the past year, they had already become the idols of all the disciples in the school due to their swift and fierce battle records. The Grand Elder's summons also made them very excited. The next morning, they arrived at Ancestor Murong's rear courtyard. There was no need to describe how they had entered. It was obvious from the 4 people's dumbstruck appearances. Ancestor Murong called out to Lu Kuan, who had been cultivating with his eyes closed. Lu Kuan, spend some effort on these people. Have them reach the 3rd layer as soon as possible. The 4 of you should properly seek guidance from Lu Kuan. Break through to the 3rd layer as soon as possible. With that, Ancestor Murong walked out of the rear courtyard. The formation enveloped the place once more. As soon as Ancestor Murong left, Chao Yunqi began to chatter endlessly. Senior brother, do you know? Our Vajra institution really shone brightly this time. Back then at North Moon Town, listening to Chao Yunqi's narration, Lu Kuan suddenly felt a sense of warmth in his heart. Over the past year and a half, he had spent every day trembling in fear, cultivating non-stop. Now that he could stop and listen to his old friends chatter, how pleasant was that? However, after thinking about it for a while, he realized that old Ghost Murong would definitely do them harm. He was just about to explain to them the old ghost's intentions when he suddenly felt an indescribable tremor in his nerves. Junior brothers, we have plenty of time to catch up. Let me first introduce you to the cultivation environment that Ancestor Murong has given us. Next, Lu Kuan began to explain to the four of them the relationship between the breath of life and spirit qi, how to speed up their cultivation, and so on. Gradually, the indescribable tremors subsided, but Lu Kuan didn't dare to relax. No wonder that old ghost didn't allow others to cultivate to the 5th level. The cultivation of the nervous system would allow one's brain to become extremely perceptive. Just now, his nerves had sensed a powerful spiritual force probing them. This spiritual force should be the spiritual sense of an immortal cultivator. The powerful spiritual force caused Lu Kuan's nerves, which were currently cultivating the 5th layer, to tremble incessantly. It seems that I have to constantly be on high alert. Otherwise, I won't be able to leak information to the four of them under his watchful eyes. The four great guardian deities discovered that their senior brother Lu had changed. Aside from cultivating fervently, he was also fervently urging them to cultivate. They didn't even exchange a few words before being asked to enter the room to cultivate. After a week, finally, one night, Lu Kuan's tense nerves felt the spiritual sense temporarily withdraw. In this moment of relaxation, Lu Kuan's vision darkened and he almost fainted. After so many days of tension, he was extremely tired. In the end, he forced himself to walk to the stone room next door and called out to the four great guardian deities. The four of you, listen up. Don't speak. You must remember what I'm about to say. This is related to the lives of the four of us. Looking at the puzzled expressions of the four, Lu Kuan rubbed his temples. The reason why old Ghost Murong pulled us over to cultivate and helped us cultivate to a higher level was because he wanted to borrow the blood essence of our powerful bodies to cultivate. Zhang Yang's father once told me that Zhang Yang discovered some kind of trap and then died without a trace. In the past year, according to my analysis, Zhang Yang and the previous generations of senior experts who cultivated the Vajra tactics were all killed by old Ghost Murong. The reason why I'm only telling you this today is because old Ghost Murong is monitoring us from the outside. My cultivation is high, so I was able to detect it. Just now, he might have been busy. Now that he's not monitoring us, I have the opportunity to tell you the truth. In the future, you must continue to cultivate diligently. You must not reveal the slightest flaw. During this period of time, my nerves have been too tense, and I can't hold on any longer. As for how to deal with him, I'll tell you the next time he's careless. Move me to my stone room, quick! After saying this, Lu Kuan's eyes rolled back and he fainted. The four great guardian deities looked at each other in dismay. Their faces were filled with shock, as if they hadn't recovered from this information. Guobuotao was more decisive. He immediately carried Lu Kuan into the stone room. When he returned, he found that the other three were still in a daze. Boom! A yuan qi explosion hit the ground, waking the others up. Guobuotao looked at the three of them with a firm gaze, then looked at Lu Kuan's stone room. The others' eyes were no longer wandering. They looked at each other, nodded, and continued to close their eyes to cultivate. When the four great guardian deities were working together to fight the enemy, they had long since developed a tacit understanding. They were like four brothers, and they often knew what the other was going to do with just a glance. Guobuotao was the one who came up with the strategy in every battle. Moreover, he was always the first to block the enemy's attack. He had long since won the respect of the other four, and they firmly believed in his decisions. Ever since they were under Lu Kuan's guidance, their statuses had changed drastically. All of this was given to them by Lu Kuan. No matter what, they would stand on Lu Kuan's side. Just now, it was because what Lu Kuan said was too shocking for them. Fortunately, Guo Buotao was the first to understand. The other three read the meaning in Guo Buotao's eyes. Believe in senior apprentice brother Lu. Lu Kuan slept for 2 days and 2 nights. During this time, Ancestor Murong also probed him. He felt that Lu Kuan was cultivating too much and was mentally exhausted, so he didn't pay much attention to it. When Lu Kuan woke up, he first glanced at the 4 great guardian deities and found that they were seriously cultivating. His eyes narrowed, and he suddenly said to himself, "I actually cultivated too much and accidentally fell asleep." After saying this, Lu Kuan felt old Devil Murong's consciousness fade. When he woke up, he felt old Devil Murong probing him, so he said something to make him relax. Lu Kuan, who was preparing to cultivate, suddenly discovered that his Vajra secret's 5th layer had made great progress. His nervous system had actually strengthened, directly reaching the middle stage of the 5th layer. It seemed that continuously using his nervous system to sense consciousness was of great help to the cultivation of the 5th layer. Good, the heavens are also helping me. I will always be tense. The sooner I break through, the sooner I can simulate the Yuan fiery fist. Lu Kuan's heart was filled with confidence. In the following year, Lu Kuan madly trained his nervous system. While old Devil Murong withdrew his consciousness, he discussed countermeasures with the 4 great guardian deities. The 4 great guardian deities broke through to the 3rd layer one after another, continuing to cultivate and increase their strength. Lu Kuan's 5th layer slowly reached the large success stage, but the last step of the 5th layer was extremely difficult. He had to control all of his internal organs and muscles to contract at the same frequency. Every time Lu Kuan tried to break through, he would have a splitting headache and almost faint. This was because Lu Kuan's mental strength was not enough, so he couldn't control it at the same time. His mental strength could only slowly increase with the passage of time. Lu Kuan also couldn't do anything about it. Chapter 40. During this 1 year, Lu Kuan didn't cultivate with the help of the spirit root on the day it appeared in order to not arouse old Fart Murong's suspicion. He only tried to simulate the essence fire waterfall fist. The reason why he did it was because old Fart Murong was monitoring him. On the other hand, Lu Kuan felt that with his current physical strength, his arm might be crippled if he executed this punch. After simulating for such a long time, he could guarantee that he could execute this punch on the day the spirit root appeared. At other times, unless he immediately broke through to the 5th level, it was impossible. If old Fart Murong made his move on the day the spirit root appeared, they would have the greatest chance of winning. 1 year had passed. On this day, Lu Kuan sensed old Fart Murong's divine senses and said to Guo Buotao and the others, "I am about to break through to the 4th level, and will be able to successfully break through after 5 days of seclusion. If the Patriarch comes tomorrow, I will have to trouble him to wait for a few more days." "All right, senior brother Lu." Guo Buotao and the others had a calm expression as if everything was normal. Lu Kuan and the others walked into their own stone houses and started cultivating. Only old Fart Murong's divine senses were still observing them. On the 2nd day, the array in the courtyard was opened. Patriarch Murong staggered as he walked in as if he was going to collapse at any moment. Guo Buotao was the first to see him and immediately bowed. "Welcome, Patriarch Murong." "Welcome, Patriarch Murong." The other 3 also stood up and bowed to Patriarch Murong. Patriarch Murong didn't pay attention to the 4 of them. Instead, he stared at Lu Kuan's stone house and revealed a smile. When Guo Buotao saw Patriarch Murong's expression, he felt a little uneasy. He went forward and said, "Patriarch, senior brother Lu will be able to break through to the 5th level in 4 days. Please wait for a few more days." "Do you want me to wait for a few more days to fall into your trap?" Patriarch Murong's old and hoarse voice echoed. This sentence caused Guobuotao and the others, as well as Lu Kuan, who was pretending to be cultivating, to feel a storm in their hearts. At the same time, Patriarch Murong's hand flashed with a spell. Lu Kuan's stone house turned from stone into mud and buried under it like ice melting into water. When Lu Kuan heard Old Fart Murong's words, he became alert and reacted quickly. He executed the explosive steps and dodged out of the gap in the roof. However, the spell was formed even faster and he couldn't escape. The muddy water fixed Lu Kuan's body below his knees. At this moment, the stone house had already turned into a cone-shaped rock. Lu Kuan's knees were at the top of this rock, and there was a yellow glow circulating on this rock. Even with his brute force, he was unable to struggle free. When Lu Kuan realized that he couldn't break free, he looked at Old Ghost Murong, who knew that the moment he saw Old Ghost Murong he would shout, "Not good." When Ancestor Murong was casting his art on Lu Kuan earlier, Guobuotao and the other three had already changed their positions. Guobuotao, Chao Yunqi, and Zhang Tianbiao were standing behind Ouyang Yun. 3 pairs of palms were placed on Ouyang Yun's back. Following that, Ouyang Yun vanished and appeared beside Ancestor Murong in a flash. Her right hand struck out with the essence burst fist at Ancestor Murong's head, while a small dagger appeared in her left hand. This was the combination move that the 4 great Vajra had cultivated for the past year. The 4 of them had successfully broken through to the 3rd stage 3 months ago. They didn't expect Ouyang Yun's bone structure to be so gifted that she used 2 months to break through to the bone refinement realm, becoming the person with the highest cultivation among the 4 of them. Therefore, the few of them were overjoyed and let Ouyang Yun cultivate the move Heavenly Fire Prairie. The other 3 of them focused on condensing their strongest essence burst force and infusing it into Ouyang Yun's body. Ouyang Yun and Lu Kuan used the explosive steps at the same time. Lu Kuan would first execute the essence burst fist, while Ouyang Yun would use the most powerful force from the 4 of them and strike towards Old Ghost Murong's head after Lu Kuan executed his move. Her other hand would then stab the snake venom dagger into Old Ghost Murong's body. Lu Kuan and the others had discussed before. Since Old Ghost Murong needed their blood essence, and since he hadn't cultivated the Vajra arts, it meant that his physical body wasn't as good as theirs. As long as they caught him off guard, Lu Kuan's essence burst fist would be able to kill him. Even if Old Ghost Murong had some defensive methods, the essence burst fist, which was close to an immortal's technique, should be able to break it. Following that, Ouyang Yun and the others' punch would be able to easily break Old Ghost Murong's head. With the addition of the snake venom dagger, they would be absolutely safe. However, Old Ghost Murong had actually discovered their plan first and even made the first move against Lu Kuan. Guobuotao decisively signaled the others with his eyes, and that was how Ouyang Yun's sneak attack came about. With a loud bang, Ouyang Yun was sent flying and crashed into their stone house. When they looked at Old Ghost Murong's body, there was an additional earthen yellow barrier that was circulating with a halo, as though the earth was indestructible. When Lu Kuan looked at Old Ghost Murong, he was slapping a small-sized talisman onto his body. Just when Ouyang Yun was about to make her move, Lu Kuan saw with his own eyes that Ouyang Yun's barrier trembled and was sent flying. At the same time when Ouyang Yun was sent flying, Guobuotao and the other 2 had already arrived beside Old Ghost Murong. They used the remaining energy from the essence explosion and struck the yellow barrier until it trembled. Ouyang Yun, who was sent flying, also came over and continued to attack, causing the barrier to tremble even faster. A wave of earthen yellow light appeared from Forefather Murong's hand and replenished the barrier. The barrier immediately returned to its original state, and the 4 of them were sent flying by the newly sturdy barrier. They were all sent flying back to their stone house, and the stone house turned into muddy water, trapping all of them inside. Tisk tsk. All of you are quite talented. If I was really caught off guard and got ambushed by all of you, I might really be injured. It's a pity that all of you have lost from the start." Forefather Murong looked at the few of them who were trapped and felt proud of himself. Lu Kuan's face was filled with unwillingness as he shouted, "Impossible! How could you have known that we were harboring malicious intentions? We thought that we did it without leaving any traces." "Lu Kuan, your plan was indeed flawless. You relied on the spiritual perception of the true fifth layer of the Vajra esoteric art to avoid my divine senses prying. Little did you know that other than probing all of you, my divine senses could also probe the spirit stones in your stone house's array. During the first half of the year, the consumption of spirit chi in your spirit stones was a little slow, and I became suspicious. Hence, I let the bamboo rat sneak in." Old Ghost Murong waved his hand, and a bamboo shoot beside a few bamboos in the corner of the courtyard slowly turned into a big fat rat. "The bamboo rat and I are telepathic, and that's how I knew that you had unknowingly obtained the true Vajra esoteric art and even cultivated it to the fifth layer. The array in the courtyard isolated the view from the outside. Unless I was standing in the courtyard, I wouldn't be able to monitor all of your little actions. In the next few months, all of you were practicing the art of planning and discussing ways to deal with me. Everything was known to me, so I simply watched all of you play. Good. As expected of an old monster who has lived for more than 100 years. I, Lu Kuan, am no match for you. However, I am curious. You should only need cultivators who have reached the phenomenal success stage of the marrow refinement realm. Why did you call them over?" Lu Kuan pointed at Guobuetao and the other three. "This is just my bad luck. I went out to fight with others and lost my lifespan. I need their flesh and blood to provide me with some essence chi." As Old Ghost Murong spoke, he clasped his hands together and the rocks that were wrapped around Guobuetao, Zhang Tianbiao, and Chao Yunqi began to merge, wrapping the three of them within. Chapter 41. Seeing that everyone was trapped by his stone prison technique, Old Ghost Murong removed the defensive talisman on his body and looked at Lu Kuan. "You asked this because you want to save them, right?" "That's right. I believe that the most useful person to you is me, who has reached the fifth layer. As long as you let them go, I, Lu Kuan, will fully cooperate with you. Brat, you're quite loyal. Unfortunately, they must die, and they will die in front of you. Junior brothers, senior brother has let you down. I shouldn't have taught you the Vajra arts. Otherwise, you wouldn't have met with this disaster." Lu Kuan looked at the four trapped people with a face full of regret. "Lu Kuan, don't worry. They helped me with their mortal bodies. Reaching Foundation establishment is already a great honor." "In your dreams." The one who said this was Oyangyun. "Senior brother Lu, you didn't let us down. Originally, I was just a small character in the middle of the inner court disciples. Ever since I received your teachings, I have received the support of the inner court disciples. Even the elders of the sect are polite to me. I also experienced the addiction of an expert. Not only did I seriously injure a super expert, I even fought with a legendary cultivator. I, Oyangyun, have nothing more to ask for in this life. I will repay Master in my next life." At this time, Oyangyun's face was already black, his eyes were bleeding, and he was dead. Turned out that he had unknowingly stabbed the viper dagger into his palm. "No! Junior brother Oyang!" Lu Kuan miserably roared. When he heard Oyangyun speak, he felt that something was wrong. He didn't expect him to be so unyielding, to rather die than submit. Seeing this junior brother who had always been taciturn die in front of him, Lu Kuan's arms danced, and the energy of the origin explosion frantically hit the rock under his feet. However, it was futile. The rock was incomparably hard, and the energy simply couldn't break it. Old Ghost Murong looked at Lu Kuan crazily hitting the rock, and the corner of his mouth revealed a sneer. How can a mortal like you break a spell? Finished speaking, he ignored Lu Kuan's powerless struggle and walked towards Ouyang. He was not afraid that these people would commit suicide because they could replenish their qi and blood. As long as their corpses were fresh, they could become blood food to replenish their qi and blood. He knew that Ouyang could be used as a blood sacrifice material, but he didn't stop her. After breaking through to the bone refining stage, using her body to nourish her blood and qi would be of great use to him. If he were to perform a live blood sacrifice, refining the blood essence would consume a lot of his magic power. But when old ghost Murong approached and felt the poisonous blood, he was annoyed. Black-horned snake venom. Even if it isn't the venom of a demonic beast, it's useless against my physical body. After he finished speaking, an incomparably hot fireball appeared in his hand out of thin air and floated towards Ouyang-Iyun's corpse, burning it completely. Damn it! You've made me a little less confident. I'll turn you all into food as soon as possible. Finished speaking, Murong Old Ghost's eyes revealed a ruthless look and began to cast a spell. The stone ball that wrapped the three people began to shrink. He actually planned to crush the people inside into meat paste. As Lu Kuan watched the stone ball shrink, he was so angry that he wanted to split open. Listening to the screams of Guo Buotao and the other two, it was as if the day of teaching was right in front of his eyes. This was the first batch of people that he had successfully taught since he came here. Lu Kuan recalled Guo Buotao's righteousness, Zhang Tianbiao's persistence, and Chao Yunqi's honesty, and his eyes gradually turned red. Old Ghost Murong, I'll definitely kill you. Break for me. Break for me. Lu Kuan was unable to restrain his anger as he roared towards the sky. His face was ferocious, his hair stood up, and his body gradually emitted traces of fire. Seeing this scene, Old Ghost Murong was stupefied. As if he had seen something inconceivable, he muttered to himself, "Divine sense power. Fire attribute spiritual power. How is this possible? Not good." Old Ghost Murong's complexion changed. Boom! The rocks on Lu Kuan's legs all exploded, and Lu Kuan was like a man on fire as he charged towards Old Ghost Murong. Just as Lu Kuan's expression was abnormal and he was going crazy, his spiritual power increased greatly, breaking through the bottleneck of the 5th level of the Vajra esoteric art and entering the 6th level. With the experience of countless simulations, Lu Kuan desperately made all the muscles in his body circulate the elemental flaming fist, trying to use up all the spiritual qi in his body. First, the elemental flaming qi exploded from his legs, blowing away the rock spell. Borrowing the strange speed of the explosion, he arrived in front of Old Ghost Murong like an arrow. Elemental flaming fist. Lu Kuan roared. The elemental flaming qi from his body gathered in his right hand, and a red flame with a hint of white appeared on Lu Kuan's fist. The scorching heat was much stronger than the fireball that Old Ghost Murong had sent out before. Moreover, in addition to the elemental flaming qi, Lu Kuan's explosive strength was more than 4,000 jin, which was more powerful than the 7th-level expert of the Vajra sect. Old Ghost Murong did not live for 100 years in vain. At the same time as he shouted, "Not good!" he quickly activated the defensive talisman in his hand. Immediately after, the flaming fist directly smashed on the barrier that had just been raised. Unexpectedly, this abnormally strong yellow barrier only lasted for a moment before it was shattered by Lu Kuan's earth-shattering elemental flaming fist. Bang! But then, Lu Kuan's fist hit a light blue shield. Chi-chi, the blue shield shook slightly, and the flames on Lu Kuan's fist were dissipated by the blue halo of the shield, revealing Lu Kuan's charred right hand. Old Ghost Murong's face was full of fear, and his face was ugly. Just now, if not for his many years of fighting experience, he might have been a corpse by now. He raised his defensive barrier in time to block for a moment, and it was also this moment that gave old Ghost Murong time to bring out his mid-grade magic tool, the blue water shield, and block this blow. Then, old Ghost Murong did not hesitate to throw out a blue talisman, and a large block of ice appeared around Lu Kuan's body out of thin air, freezing Lu Kuan. Although Lu Kuan's body was frozen, his eyes were still full of anger, and he stared at old Ghost Murong. His body's spirit chi was now exhausted, and his body was about to collapse, so he could not use the elemental flaming fist. Old Ghost Murong ignored Lu Kuan's gaze and began to chant. Not long after, a white light passed through the ice and hit Lu Kuan's head. Lu Kuan's eyes dimmed, as if he had lost his spirit. After using this spell, old Ghost Murong's face became even paler. Ice talisman and soul sealing technique, it should be foolproof. After casting the spell, old Ghost Murong looked at Lu Kuan's charred body, sweating profusely. This brat is strange. This explosive power is enough to kill most low-level chi refining cultivators. If not for my powerful divine sense and quick reaction, I would have died. Lu Kuan's punch just now made him recall the Battle of the Diamond Sect more than 40 years ago. This brat's strength is astonishing, and his elemental flaming fist is much more powerful than the people of the Diamond Sect. He might be a surviving member of the Diamond Sect. If not for the fact that the blood sacrifice requires living things, I wouldn't have to be so restrained. It would be much easier to just kill you. Just now I poured all my magic power into the barrier, but he still couldn't break it. The less time I have left, the more I fear death. Old Ghost Murong shook his head in self-mockery. Chapter 42. After putting Lu Kuan and the stone ball into the secret chamber, Murong Old Ghost first removed the formation in the backyard and arranged it around Lu Kuan's bedroom. Then, he modified the outermost formation in the bamboo forest. Although they were quite simple formations in the cultivation world, ordinary aura refining cultivators wouldn't be able to break through them in a short time. Then, he informed Iron Fist School's school leader Zhao that the next 3 months were the most critical period for Lu Kuan and the others' cultivation. Murong Old Ghost also left the bamboo rat in the bamboo forest as a protector. Unless there was a foundation-building cultivator or several high-level aura refining cultivators, this place was absolutely impregnable. After everything was done, Murong Old Ghost walked into the secret chamber and put the stone ball into the small blood pool. He changed the incantation, and the blood in the stone ball was poured into the blood pool. The stone ball turned into soft mud and sealed the mouth of the blood pool, turning it into a rock cover. Murong Old Ghost then sat cross-legged on this cover. After placing a few low-grade spirit stones in the formation, Murong Old Ghost used his hands to cast incantations into the formation. The spirit stones in the formation gradually lit up and waves of light penetrated into the blood pool through the symbols in the formation. Not long after, the sound of liquid rolling could be heard from the blood pool. On the second day, there was no movement inside the small blood pool. Murong Old Ghost changed the incantation, and traces of blood-red light began to float out of the cover and was absorbed into his body. Every once in a while, he would absorb some of the blood-red light. This technique of replenishing chi and blood continued until the third day. The blood-red light in the small blood pool no longer appeared, and the spirit stones in the formation were also exhausted. In these 2 days, his body went from thin to plump. His hair gradually turned from gray to black, and his face gradually became ruddy. The wrinkles that looked like they were cut by knives and axes were also slowly filling up. On the third day, Murong Old Ghost opened his eyes. At this time, his face had changed into a slightly ugly middle-aged man. His eyes were no longer turbid and were full of light. One couldn't tell that he was nearly 100 years old. One died. First, I can only maintain this state for 1.5 months. First, I need to use my body to recover from the internal injuries in my body in the best state. It will probably take about half a month. The blood sacrifice foundation building process needs 30 days, so the soul sealing technique can only be used on Lu Kuan for half a month. I have enough time to build my foundation. Damn it, if he hadn't reached the real 5th layer, I wouldn't have to go through so much trouble. Half a month is not enough to seal the soul. Moreover, this brat actually produced the power of divine sense. Although its strength is only around the 4th layer of aura refining stage, it can resist the power of the soul sealing technique. After half a month, there will still subconscious resistance. The blood sacrifice foundation building process. Murong old ghost, Murong old ghost, Murong old ghost, old ghost, Murong old ghost. Due to the fact that the sacrifice had to be kept alive when refining the blood essence, the refiner had to use his own mana to suppress the sacrifice's spirit while refining the blood essence. With old ghost Murong's cultivation, refining the blood essence was already very taxing. It was impossible for him to suppress Lu Kuan's spirit as well. After Murong Old Ghost improved the blood sacrifice foundation building process, it has 2 functions. The first is to help the refiner refine the blood, allowing him to save a lot of magic power. If the low-grade spirit stones are replaced with middle-grade spirit stones, then with his aura refining stage cultivation, he should be able to suppress Lu Kuan's soul and refine his blood at the same time. The second function is to prevent the loss of the blood's spiritual energy. Otherwise, Murong Old Ghost wouldn't have been able to accumulate enough blood in 40 years. The most difficult part of the blood sacrifice foundation building process is to find the sacrifice and refine the blood. After the blood meets the requirements, he only needs to change the incantation and the foundation building process will gather all the blood's energy and absorb it. This will allow him to break through the aura refining stage in one fell swoop and become a powerful foundation establishment stage cultivator. His lifespan will explosively increase to 200 years. Suddenly, Murong Old Ghost seemed to feel something. He opened his eyes and looked at the frozen person. Lu Kuan, you can still hear me right now. Unfortunately, after half a month, you won't have any self-awareness. Even if you have any ideas, it will be useless. Seeing Lu Kuan's dim eyes, Murong Old Ghost no longer paid attention to him and began to heal his body's internal injuries. At this time, Lu Kuan's body was frozen by the frost talisman. The reason Murong Old Ghost used this technique was, on one hand, because with the obstruction of the ice attribute technique, it would be difficult for Lu Kuan to use the primordial fire waterfall fist. On the other hand, he was afraid that Lu Kuan would use some method to damage his body. His body was Murong Old Ghost's last hope. Lu Kuan actually woke up 2 days ago. After being hit by the soul-sealing technique that day, Lu Kuan's berserk killing intent dimmed. However, in the depths of his mind, he still repeatedly replayed the process of Ouyang Yun, Guo Buotao, Zhang Tianbiao, and Chao Yunqi getting acquainted with him, passing on their techniques to each other, as well as the tragic deaths of the 4 of them. Lu Kuan's heart was filled with incomparable self-blame. He always felt that he had let them down. At first, he taught them these Vajra arts techniques mainly to strengthen his own power. However, he didn't expect the opponent to be so powerful. The higher the level of the Vajra arts, the stronger their strength, the more they would be targeted by this old ghost, and the more dangerous it would be. If he didn't teach them from the beginning, these people wouldn't have died. Senior brother, you didn't let us down. At this time, Lu Kuan suddenly thought of Ouyang Yun's words before his death. What did the 4 junior brothers care about the most? What did the people of Jianghu care about the most? What they cared about was reputation, status, gratification, and enmity. Lu Kuan's teaching brought them this, which was why Ouyang Yun would rather die in the end. Good, since you recognize me as your senior brother and care about these things, I will find a way to survive and avenge you. Moreover, in the future, I will make the name of the 4 great Vajra resound throughout the world. After suffering for a day, Lu Kuan finally figured it out. First of all, he had to survive. After Lu Kuan calmed down, his mind became somewhat clear. When he recalled the previous battle scene, he was already somewhat crazy. Divine sense power? It seems that I can still think now because of this. Recalling the old ghost's exclamation. This old ghost probably doesn't know that he has just entered the 6th level and hasn't started tempering his body. After using the elemental fire torrential fist, it began to harm his body. After I used that move, my body was about to collapse, but this old ghost froze me and instead helped me prevent my body from collapsing. Lu Kuan opened his eyes. They were somewhat dim, but by relying on his mutated eyesight, he could still see the surrounding situation through the ice. The old ghost was in the small array, absorbing the red light. He should be replenishing his qi and blood. Since Lu Kuan had figured it out, he wouldn't continue to mourn in vain. His killing intent was hidden in the depths of his heart. He thought that Ouyang Yun's final death should have caused the old ghost to not be able to absorb enough qi and blood, thus affecting the old ghost's later magic. But how could he take advantage of this? In these 2 days, Lu Kuan had seen the old ghost turn from a 100-year-old man into a middle-aged man with his own eyes. The hatred in his heart deepened, and he didn't know why, but he felt his consciousness becoming more and more blurred until he heard Murong Yun's words. Chapter 43. When Lu Kuan roared in his heart, he suddenly felt that his consciousness had arrived in a space. There was a strange gray energy circle around him that was constantly pressing towards the center. Fortunately, there was a force blocking it, otherwise the gray energy would have already occupied this space. The gray energy circle had a corrosive energy. Every time it collided with this force, Lu Kuan felt his consciousness dissipate a little. Only then did he discover that he could completely control the power in the center. This is my spiritual sense? That gray energy is the soul sealing technique? Lu Kuan was able to activate the power of his spiritual sense by chance. Otherwise, at least when he reached the 7th layer of the Vajra tactics, he would have a very small chance of generating spiritual sense. Lu Kuan knew nothing about the use of spiritual sense. At this time, when his will erupted, he finally felt the existence of the sea of spiritual sense. He also knew that he should take the initiative to control his spiritual sense instead of letting it resist passively. Although he could methodically use his spiritual sense to resist the soul sealing technique, at most he could slow down the gray energy's approach, but he could not prevent his consciousness from dissipating. It must be known that this soul-sealing technique was used by Old Ghost Murong at the peak of the Qi refining stage. Lu Kuan's current spiritual sense level was equivalent to the 4th layer of the Qi refining stage. There was no way he could contend against it. Just when Lu Kuan felt his consciousness getting weaker and weaker, a purple ball of light appeared in the center of the sea of spiritual sense. Under the illumination of the purple light, the corrosive energy began to slow down the speed at which it was eroding his consciousness. Lu Kuan subconsciously retracted his spiritual sense, occupying it around the purple light. Although the gray energy was getting closer, Lu Kuan's consciousness was no longer dissipating, instead it was recovering. Before long, Lu Kuan was completely awake. Isn't this purple light on my chest? Why is it in my mind? That's right, my spiritual root should have appeared on this day. Is this purple light related to my spiritual root? Lu Kuan's consciousness was hazy these days, so he did not notice that on the day his spiritual sense appeared, the purple light no longer flickered on his chest at night. Without the purple light, the red mark on his chest also did not emit any light. Now is the day the spiritual root appeared. 4 days have passed, there are still 11 days left. If the spiritual root disappears, this purple light will also disappear. No, I must preserve my consciousness and wait for an opportunity to take revenge. My divine sense is following this purple light closely. Even if it disappears, I have to find it. After an unknown period of time, the purple light began to change. It turned into a long streak of lightning, and then dispersed in a strange way. Don't disappear. Lu Kuan was very anxious. His divine sense changed along with the purple light, turning into the shape of lightning and scattering in the same way. If Murong Old Devil carefully observed Lu Kuan at this moment, he would discover that Lu Kuan did not have the slightest bit of consciousness fluctuation, just like a living dead person. At this moment, Lu Kuan was also feeling very strange. His divine sense had suddenly hidden itself in his sea of consciousness. The gray energy had completely occupied this place. It was as if it could not find an opponent and was wandering aimlessly. After a few more days, Lu Kuan actually discovered that the gray energy began to dissipate. It should be that the soul seal spell thought that it had eliminated the opponent. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. The soul seal spell had disappeared. Lu Kuan carefully hid his divine sense in his sea of consciousness. At this time, the purple light appeared again. Fortunately, Lu Kuan's hidden divine sense did not follow it out. However, Lu Kuan's heart moved and he took the initiative to release a trace of divine sense fluctuation. On this day, Murong Old Devil also finished his work. He felt that his body was in excellent condition and could not help but laugh. Haha, now my magical power is at the peak of the Qi refining stage. My physical condition is also at its best. It is the best time for me to build my foundation. Then he looked at Lu Kuan. Why is there only a trace of soul fluctuation left? The soul seal spell has worn away his divine sense in half a month? He did not believe it and walked forward to carefully observe. It is indeed worn away. It should be that there are many hidden dangers in the divine sense power that he broke out that day. I said, how could a mortal have such talent? The heavens are really helping me. But just in case, I will still use mid-grade spirit stones. Finished speaking, he replaced all the spirit stones in the great blood pool array with mid-grade spirit stones. When he replaced them, Murong Old Devil's face was full of pain. Even if his wealth was not small, after these mid-grade spirit stones were used up, he did not have many left. When these things were done, Murong Old Devil released a fireball to melt the ice. Then he threw Lu Kuan's body into the blood pool. Sitting cross-legged, he began to refine the blood essence. Then the blood in the blood pool began to boil. The mid-grade spirit stones emitted a large amount of energy and poured into it, but Lu Kuan did not move. At first, Lu Kuan planned to suddenly attack when Murong Old Devil approached him. At such a close distance, with his explosive power, even if it was physical strength, there was a high chance that he could kill this old devil. But when he heard that Murong Old Devil wanted to replace the mid-grade spirit stones, Lu Kuan hesitated. His body was still in an injured state, and he had been frozen for so long. If there was a delay in his attack, then he would not have a chance. So he decided to absorb some spirit qi in the blood pool to recover his body. With the array concealing it, Murong Old Devil would not be able to detect it. Then, when his body recovered slightly, he would attack. But as soon as he entered the blood pool, his body began to heat up, and the red mark on his chest suddenly shone. Under the cover of the blood pool, Murong Old Devil did not notice anything unusual. At the same time the red mark shone, Lu Kuan felt a large amount of blood essence rushing into his body, mixed with a large amount of spirit qi. Lu Kuan hurriedly circulated the spirit qi to repair his body, and in an instant, his body was restored to its original state. Just as he was about to attack Murong Old Devil, he found that the spirit qi energy was still increasing. It was as if his body was going to explode, and he was still unable to move. Lu Kuan did not care that the enemy was close at hand. He began to circulate the 6th level of the Vajra mantra, consuming the energy to strengthen his organs. As a result, the 6th level increased rapidly, and it did not take long for him to reach the large success stage. Then, he broke through the bottleneck and entered the 7th level. The 7th level was the process of tempering the body a second time from the outside to the inside. During this second tempering process, one would have complete control over the body. The energy in the blood pool was too strong, so it only took half a day for him to reach the large success stage of the 7th level. Lu Kuan did not expect that he would cultivate the Vajra mantra from the 6th level to the large success stage of the 7th level in just one day. How could Lu Kuan know that the energy he absorbed was most of the energy needed to advance from the Qi condensation stage to the foundation establishment stage? If other Qi refinement cultivators knew that Lu Kuan was using this energy to cultivate the Vajra mantra, they would definitely curse him for being a wastrel. When Lu Kuan reached the large success stage of the Vajra mantra, he found that there was still a lot of blood essence left in his body. After he stopped circulating the Vajra mantra, the blood essence immediately rushed into his chest as if it was being devoured. Then, an even more ferocious bloodline power rushed out from his chest, and Lu Kuan lost consciousness. Murong Old Devil, who was outside, felt that a large amount of spirit qi was gathering in the middle of the spirit stone from the beginning of the refinement. His own magic power was also quickly flowing out, but he did not care. After half a day, the blood in the blood pool was decreasing, but the energy aura was increasing. Although Murong Old Devil had improved the blood sacrifice foundation establishment technique, this was the first time he was personally performing the technique, so he was a little confused. After more than half a day, he didn't have much magic power left. Just when Old Ghost Murong felt that he was almost done refining, the blood essence energy in the blood pool seemed to disappear all of a sudden. Following that, a terrifying blood essence energy erupted from the blood pool. Success! Ha! Feeling this energy, Murong Old Devil laughed wildly. Chapter 44. How could this be? Where is the blood essence I refined? Murong Old Devil looked at the blood pool and could not help but cry out. At this time, there was not a single drop of blood left on the 4 walls and the bottom of the blood pool, revealing the dried-up 4 walls. Lu Kuan. Impossible! How could he not be refined? In the middle of the empty blood pool, there was a naked man lying flat on the ground. He had yellow skin and a strong body. It was Lu Kuan, who Murong Old Devil had thrown in a day ago. There was no blood on the surface of his body. His eyes were closed, as if he had lost consciousness. Why is my refined blood essence in this boy's body? Could it be that my years of painstaking planning have been ruined? I don't believe it. I will refine him again. Murong Old Devil felt the powerful blood essence energy in Lu Kuan's body and almost fainted from anger. No, it's this arm. Murong Old Devil looked at Lu Kuan's arm and carefully felt it. He found that the terrifying energy he had felt before was coming from Lu Kuan's strange arm. This pair of arms had become very different from before. First, it had increased to 5 feet in length, and the arms extended to below the knees. Second, the latitude had increased greatly, and it was twice as thick as usual. The blue veins on the muscles had popped out, giving people a strong feeling of strength. On the surface of the arm muscles, there was a faint 5-colored halo circulating, which was very mysterious. Murong Old Devil looked at this pair of arms and felt the energy in them. Although I don't know why the blood essence entered your arm, I, Murong Jie, will not do it for others. I will cut off his arm first and refine it again. After saying this, a long blade appeared in his hand, and he chopped at Lu Kuan's arm. As if he sensed danger, Lu Kuan opened his eyes. At this moment, His eyes had turned into two pupils. They were blood red and mixed with some golden light. His eyes were filled with bloodthirst and resentment. He coldly looked at old Devil Murong. He raised his arm and used his thick forearm to block the magic tool. Dang! The long blade hit the giant arm and issued a sound of metal colliding. However, Lu Kuan's arm did not have the slightest trace of injury. Old Ghost Murong had never heard of someone who could use their flesh and blood to fight against an artifact. Moreover, it was a middle-grade offensive artifact. Impossible! Old Ghost Murong could not believe what he was seeing. He frantically circulated his mana and attacked Lu Kuan non-stop. However, every attack was blocked by his arms. However, after careful observation, Old Ghost Murong found something different. Every time the long saber attacked, the five-colored halo on the arm would dim a little. This meant that the mysterious five-colored halo was resisting the power of the magic tool. Finally, after another attack was blocked, only a sliver of the five-colored halo remained. Old Ghost Murong was overjoyed. He thought that with one more strike, he should be able to break this strange five-colored halo. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Lu Kuan revealing a cruel smile. He was startled and seemed to have thought of something. Ignoring the long saber in the air, he quickly put a golden armor talisman on himself. This was a level 1 high-grade talisman, and he had never been willing to use it before. As soon as the golden shield appeared, it was hit by a huge fist. Old Ghost Murong remembered Lu Kuan's explosive speed. At this time, in the narrow secret room, it was difficult for him to dodge Lu Kuan's attack. Boom! It was blocked. Old Ghost Murong was relieved. However, he saw Lu Kuan begin to continuously punch the shield. Moreover, flames gradually appeared on his arms, and the shield was on the verge of collapse. Seeing that the golden armor talisman could still hold on, Old Ghost Murong clenched his teeth and recalled the long saber in the air. He slashed at Lu Kuan's body, trying to stop Lu Kuan from continuing to hit the shield. Lu Kuan also noticed the long saber. He turned around and punched at the saber. At this time, his fist was not only wrapped in the last five-colored halo, but also covered in a layer of white flame. The color was different from the Yuan fiery fist that Lu Kuan had used before. Clang! A loud sound rang out. The long saber issued a mournful cry. The yellow light dimmed, as if its vitality was greatly damaged, and fell to the ground. Old Ghost Murong and the long saber were mentally connected, and his face also darkened. Lu Kuan turned around and punched the golden armor talisman with Yuan fiery fist. Hiss! The sound of a book being torn apart was heard. This powerful shield was like a piece of paper, easily broken by the white Yuan fiery fist. Then, the same scene as that day appeared. Lu Kuan's fist was blocked by the blue water shield. However, the flame on the fist did not disappear today. Instead, the light of the blue water shield dimmed. Old Ghost Murong's spiritual power and consciousness were connected to the blue water shield, indirectly bearing the huge force of the fist and the power of the white flame. He could no longer hold on and spat out a mouthful of blood. Lu Kuan increased his strength and sent the blue water shield flying. His two fists directly penetrated Old Ghost Murong's body. Old Ghost Murong's expression was full of disbelief. Looking at Lu Kuan, who was like a demon, he was speechless. I can't believe that I, Murong Jie, would be killed by a mortal. Old Ghost Murong's mind flashed past this last thought, and then he lost consciousness. Lu Kuan's face revealed a ferocious expression. His arms exerted strength and directly tore Old Ghost Murong into two halves. After Old Ghost Murong died, the blood-red color in Lu Kuan's eyes gradually faded. His arms also returned to their original state. Lu Kuan looked at the flesh and blood on the ground, and then looked at his own hands. His expression was complicated. When Lu Kuan woke up in the blood pool, his mind was filled with hatred, resentment, unwillingness, and other emotions. When he saw old Ghost Murong, these emotions suddenly burst out, almost making him lose consciousness. It was only when old Ghost Murong died that these emotions gradually dissipated. If Lu Kuan guessed correctly, these were the souls of the predecessors who cultivated the Vajra tactic. During the process of refining their blood essence, part of their soul consciousness was integrated into their blood. When Lu Kuan used their blood essence, he could feel the joy of these seniors when they first succeeded in cultivating the Vajra tactics, the unwillingness after being defeated by old Ghost Murong, and the resentment of being sacrificed. Lu Kuan silently said in his heart, "Seniors, with your help today and killing old Ghost Murong, I, Lu Kuan, will definitely carry forward the Vajra tactics in the future, and will not let the cultivators of the Vajra tactics suffer the disaster of being sacrificed again." After saying this sentence, Lu Kuan felt that the last bit of emotion in his divine sense had disappeared. His divine sense felt like it had been refined, becoming more comfortable and transparent, and he could control it more freely. Next, Lu Kuan looked at his arms. He was now very sure that the red mark was the blood essence of the golden ape in his dream. Now that the red mark on his chest had completely disappeared, he should have finished absorbing it. Therefore, Lu Kuan's body had the golden ape's bloodline. Just now, he had used the remaining blood essence energy in the blood pool to stimulate the power of his bloodline. That five-colored halo and heaven-raising strength should be part of the golden ape's divine ability. After using up all the blood essence energy, his arms also returned to normal. Chapter 45. Lu Kuan thought of his spirit root and the purple light in his sea of consciousness. Since the purple light and spirit root appeared on the same day, then the spirit root was most likely related to the Thunderbird. Recalling the experience of the past few days, Lu Kuan's forehead was dripping with cold sweat. If not for the purple light and the blood essence of the giant ape, I would have died several times over. If I had investigated the details of the Iron Fist School's Grand Elder in advance, I would not have rashly entered the tiger's den. From this old ghost's actions, it can be seen that immortal cultivators are all profit-seeking fellows. As long as they can break through their cultivation and increase their lifespan, they will do anything. If I meet them in the future, I must be extremely vigilant. Lu Kuan thought, I also have a spirit root, which means I can also cultivate. He suddenly became excited and began to search the secret room. First, he carefully picked up the unused mid-grade spirit stones in the blood sacrifice array, then rummaged through the old ghost's clothes on the ground. After dodging the disgusting flesh on the ground, he finally found 3 small bags. Could this be a storage bag? Lu Kuan curiously looked at the 2 purple and 1 black pouch. It was sealed tightly and could not be opened with brute force. Let's try using my divine sense. Thinking of doing it, this was Lu Kuan's first time releasing his divine sense. It felt very magical. Even if he closed his eyes, more than half of the room was under his control. Lu Kuan didn't use his divine sense to check the storage bag, but he walked over to the remains of old Ghost Murong's corpse. A red flame appeared on his fist. After reaching the large success stage of the 7th layer of the Vajra arts, he could easily use the Yuan fire rupturing fist. Little friend Lu, spare me. At this time, a yellow ball of light emerged from the remains of the corpse, and a voice came from inside. Old Ghost Murong, you actually didn't die? Lu Kuan saw this scene and was extremely shocked. He directly attacked with his fist. Little friend, spare me. My lifespan is almost up, and my body is also destroyed. I thought this primordial spirit would also dissipate. I didn't expect the primordial spirit to be able to last for a month. The yellow ball dodged left and right, and its tone was very anxious. If I kill you now, wouldn't that be freeing you? As he spoke, Lu Kuan's other fist also burst into red flames. Huang Qiu was very afraid of this flame and said in horror, Little friend, if you can let me dissipate on my own, I still have a chance to enter the cycle of reincarnation. In exchange, I can help you open your storage pouch. There are many treasures of mine inside, enough for you to enjoy wealth and glory in this world. Lu Kuan snorted coldly. He mobilized the spirit chi in his muscles and rushed it towards the storage bag, directly opening it. A surprised voice came from the yellow ball. Impossible! Without a spirit root, there's no way to mobilize spirit chi. I've clearly tested it before. I know that you have a hidden spirit root. Only a hidden spiritual root can disappear after a period of time, and I can't detect it. What is a hidden spiritual root? Lu Kuan felt that this name was very appropriate to describe his current situation. However, he appeared after a period of time and did not disappear after a period of time. Seeing Lu Kuan extinguish the flame in his hand, Huang Qiu breathed a sigh of relief and said, "This has to do with spirit root aptitude. Generally speaking, spirit roots have the attributes of the 5 elements. The fewer the attributes, the higher the aptitude. In addition, there are also variant spirit roots, Relingen, wind spirit roots, etc. These variant spirit roots will disappear after a period of time. This kind of spirit root is a hidden spirit root. Although a hidden spirit root will slow down one's cultivation speed, it is still a variant spirit root. It has a great advantage in fights of the same level." Huang Qiu immediately continued, "Since little friend has a spirit root aptitude, then you can cultivate. I can guide little friend to quickly get started." Seeing Lu Kuan's slightly hesitant expression, Huang Qiu's voice became even more urgent. "I can also talk about a lot of situations in the immortal cultivation world. Fellow Taoist has not yet started cultivating but already has such aptitude and strength. With the entry token in my storage bag, little friend should be able to directly enter the Yang clan and become an official disciple. After that, little friend will have a lifespan of more than 200 years. Hearing this, Lu Kuan's expression finally changed a little. "What is this entry token?" The entry token is something that large sects give to their subordinate clans. If the clan has declined, they can use this token to once again enter the sect. Then you're a member of a immortal cultivation clan. It's actually like this. Next, old ghost Murong began to explain. Originally, Murong Jie was a loose cultivator with 4 spirit root. By chance, he picked up a few books. One of them was the Earth Spirit Technique, which he officially started cultivating. The other books were the Blood Sacrifice Technique. With his aptitude for cultivation, if he did not have enough resources, he was destined to linger in the Qi condensation realm for the rest of his life. One day, when he was searching for medicinal herbs in the depths of Luyang mountain range, he was injured by a level 1 demonic beast. Afterwards, he was saved by the first sect master of the Iron Fist School, Zhao De. This Zhao De was also a Qi condensation cultivator and was slightly stronger than Murong Jie at that time. He invited Murong Jie to the Iron Fist School to become a Grand Elder. Murong Jie felt that his aptitude was very poor and that it would be better for him to enjoy the riches of the world, so he agreed. Later on, the two of them even became sworn brothers. Many years passed like this. One time, after drinking, Zhao De told Murong Jie that their Zhao clan used to be one of the Yang clan's vassal clans. Later on, the clan declined and he was the only one left, a low-level Qi condensation disciple. Originally, Zhao De could have used the family's inheritance of an entry token to exchange for a chance to enter the Yang clan. However, he felt that his aptitude was lacking and that he would only be a servant disciple for the rest of his life. He had no hope of reaching the foundation establishment realm. Thus, he simply kept the remaining resources, hoping that his descendant would have a good spirit root. With the entry token, he could revive the clan. However, Zhao De did not know that although Murong Jie appeared to be very righteous on the surface, he was actually a selfish person in his bones. After hearing this, Murong Jie began to have evil intentions. The resources and entry token that Zhao De spoke of rekindled his hope. In for a penny, in for a pound. He took the opportunity to kill the last cultivator of the Zhao clan. When Lu Kuan heard this, he shook his head. No wonder the Zhao clan was declining more and more. They didn't even know the principle of not showing off their wealth. In the end, Murong Jie took away all of the cultivation resources. Apart from the entry token, there were also close to 20 mid-grade spirit stones, a number of cultivation increasing medicinal pills, and a few magic tools. It should be known that Murong Jie originally only had a sour low-grade magic tool. At that time, Zhao De's son was only a few years old. Murong Jie was a bit reluctant to kill him. However, he thought that the Iron Fist School could help him deal with some trivial matters. The child also did not know anything. Thus, he left behind the Zhao clan's bloodline and indirectly controlled the Iron Fist School. After Murong Jie obtained the cultivation resources, he immediately went into seclusion to cultivate. His magic power increased by leaps and bounds. He planned to go to the Yang clan when his strength was high enough. It was not until 40 years ago that he discovered the miraculous nature of the Vajra mantra. He was greatly excited. As long as he succeeded in building his foundation, not only would his lifespan increase greatly, he would also become an official disciple after entering the Yang clan. What happened next was just as Lu Kuan had guessed. He sacrificed all those who had succeeded in the Vajra mantra. Are the relics of the earliest Vajra sect seniors still with you? Apart from the Vajra mantra, there were also a few parchment. I saw that they were all secular martial arts, so I threw them to the Iron Fist School. Old Ghost, I heard you out. You cleared up a lot of my doubts. I'd like to say thank you. Following that, Lu Kuan's fists flickered with flames, killing the dazed yellow ball. Chapter 46. Lu Kuan looked at the old ghost's corpse on the ground. Just in case, he burned it clean with his primordial fire. The primordial fire of the primordial fire rupturing fist was truly terrifying. Flesh and blood turned to ashes upon contact. Seeing that the old ghost had finally disappeared, Lu Kuan breathed a sigh of relief. Cultivators have great magical powers. The longer I keep you, the more danger I'll be in. Moreover, you're a cunning old fox. I can't compare to you in terms of scheming, and I can't compare to you in terms of viciousness. Next, Lu Kuan used his divine sense to explore the storage pouches. He found that the 3 storage pouches each had a space of about 1 square meter. There weren't many things inside. Apart from some clothes and sundries, there were more than 100 low-grade spirit stones, 2 mid-grade spirit stones, 10 or so books, some jade slips and yellow talismans, a few strange magic tools and some materials, and finally a few bottles of pills. He thought to himself, the spiritual root will disappear soon. I'll take out some useful things first. Lu Kuan first found a bottle labeled, fasting pill, and took out 1 pill. These 2 days, Lu Kuan's body had begun to feel hungry. His clothes and things on his body had been burned by the primordial fire on the day he was caught. It seems that I'll have to strengthen my control in the future. Otherwise, I'll burn my clothes every time I use it. Muttering to himself, Lu Kuan took out a black robe from the storage pouch and put it on. He took out a few books and began to look for the exit of the secret room. After searching for a while, he found a movable candle. He opened the door of the secret room and slowly walked out. Fortunately, the old ghost didn't use a formation to lock the secret room. But as soon as Lu Kuan walked up, he saw that the room above the secret room was shrouded in fog. He was stunned. He lowered his head and pondered for a while. He released his divine sense and carefully searched the room. He found some compasses, flags, and other magic tools in the corner of the room. When he picked them up, the fog disappeared. When Lu Kuan walked out of the room, a fat rat rushed towards him. After seeing clearly what it was, Lu Kuan didn't dodge. Primordial fire rupturing fist. A slightly hot fist heavily hit the rat's body. The rat was sent flying and fell to the ground. Its entire body was charred black. Lu Kuan intentionally held back a portion of his strength. Otherwise, this low-level demonic beast would have been killed by him. Lu Kuan looked at the bamboo rat lying on the ground with fear in its eyes. He walked over and said, "I know you can understand me. Now that your original master is dead, if you teach me how to enter and exit this bamboo forest, I will spare your life." The bamboo rats below seemed to understand and kept nodding their heads. The bamboo rats had only walked once, but Lu Kuan had already memorized the way to walk the bamboo forest's formation. After gaining spiritual sense, he had a photographic memory. Seeing the rat leave quickly, Lu Kuan turned around and went back. He planned to stay here for a while. He returned to the small courtyard where he practiced before and looked at the broken stone house, the formation on the ground, and the place where Ouyang Iyun died. His expression was complicated. He was in a daze and only recovered after a long time. After that, Lu Kuan began to inspect his body. The red mark and purple light on his chest had already disappeared, fusing with his body. With the Vajra mantra at the consummate level, his strength was close to 4,000 jin. His physical defense had also greatly increased. Even the flames of the elemental fire rupturing fist were unable to harm his physical body. Only an immortal cultivator's magic tool could break through his defense. Now, his control over his body had also greatly increased. His muscles, nerves, and internal organs were all under his control. He could manifest the primordial fire anywhere in his body. Unfortunately, the primordial fire could only appear outside of his body and couldn't leave his body to fight enemies. Next, he began to flip through old Ghost Murong's cultivation record. Combined with some of the old ghost's words before his death, he finally had a general understanding of the cultivation world. The cultivation realms from lowest to highest were Qi refining, foundation establishment, golden core, nascent soul, and spirit severing. After that, they would leave this world and ascend to a higher world. In the immortal cultivation world, only those in the foundation establishment stage could be considered real immortal cultivators, because from the foundation establishment stage onwards, one's lifespan began to exceed the limits of mortals. Foundation establishment stage could live for more than 200 years, Aurus core stage could live for more than 500 years, and nascent soul stage old monsters could live for at least 1,000 years. As for the soul formation stage, it was not written in this book, but presumably it was even older. However, this book mainly talked about the strength of Qi refining. Qi refining mainly had 5 basic cultivation techniques. They were metal spirit technique, wood spirit technique, earth spirit technique, water spirit technique, and fire spirit technique. As long as the spirit root was compatible with the attribute, one could cultivate these basic cultivation techniques. Of course, the purer the attribute of the spirit root, the faster the cultivation speed. The basic cultivation techniques were divided into a total of 13 layers. Breaking through to the next layer was foundation establishment, officially entering the cultivation world. However, this step stopped most Qi refining cultivators. Apart from the rumored top geniuses who could directly advance to foundation establishment, other Qi refining cultivators needed foundation establishment pills to break through. The worse the aptitude, the more foundation establishment pills they needed. In the cultivation world, those who had the ability to refine foundation establishment pills were alchemists supported by large sections. Moreover, the main ingredients for foundation establishment pills were also controlled by these sections. It was very difficult for ordinary loose cultivators to obtain foundation establishment pills. Old Ghost Murong belonged to the category of loose cultivators with poor aptitude. Even if he entered the Yang clan, he might not have the ability to obtain foundation establishment pills. Even if he had one, he might not succeed in foundation establishment. Therefore, he wholeheartedly studied the blood sacrifice method. Qi refining was also divided into early, middle, and late stages. The dividing line was the 4th layer and the 10th layer. Below the 4th layer was the early stage. At this time, one's strength was weak. Only their perception and memory were far superior to ordinary people, and the magic power in their body was very little. At the 4th layer, one would enter the middle stage. At this time, one would cultivate divine sense and have eidetic memory. One could also learn some superficial spells, such as the fireball technique, light body technique, dungeon technique, giant strength technique, and so on. After the 10th layer, one would enter the late stage of Qi refining. One could use most of the basic spells and could even use some magic tools, greatly increasing one's strength. The most important thing was that one could take foundation establishment pills. Those with good aptitude could directly enter foundation establishment from the 10th layer. However, the majority of cultivators would cultivate to the peak of the 13th layer before taking foundation establishment pills. This way, their chances of advancement would be slightly higher. At this time, Lu Kuan had already developed divine sense. His essence fire-rupturing fist could break most of the basic spells. His strength definitely surpassed that of a cultivator in the 4th layer of Qi refining. When facing a late-stage Qi refining cultivator, although he couldn't directly take offensive magic tools, he wasn't too afraid. For example, if a cultivator in the peak stage of Qi refining used a defensive magic tool, Lu Kuan wouldn't be able to break through it. However, cultivators focused on cultivating magic power and not the physical body. This allowed him to break through the defense and easily kill any Qi refining cultivator. Therefore, Lu Kuan made a comprehensive assessment of his strength. His strength was around the 10th to 11th layer of Qi refining. When he had the giant arm, even if his strength wasn't as strong as foundation establishment, it probably wasn't too far off. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to beat a 13th layer Qi refining cultivator to the point that he couldn't fight back. With the double strength in his arm and the 5-colored halo, he could easily block magic tools and even break them. Lu Kuan carefully sensed this 5-colored halo. It was a divine ability that was stimulated by the power of his bloodline after the muscles in his arms strengthened to a certain level. He didn't know when this divine ability would appear again. In the future, he wouldn't have so much blood essence to use. In addition, Lu Kuan had an advantage over cultivators. His spiritual energy was in his muscles, and there was no magic power in his meridians and dantian. His divine sense could also be concealed. Cultivators would also think that he was immortal. Which cultivator would think that a mortal had the strength of a late-stage Qi refining cultivator? You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.